Diana Anderson, Ben Stanley, and Sid Lamone are present. We excuse Cindy Boyd, who is away this week. And at this time, we announce that Council Member Jay Meekum has resigned from the council to pursue personal interests. And we wish him the best in his endeavors. The council has started to announce the open position, and you'll be able to read about that process. We'll discuss it a little bit tonight during the meeting. And so people are welcome to apply for that. So we're not exactly sure when the interviews will take place, but it'll get advertised here and you'll be able to apply. We'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance being led by Ben Stanley and then opening remarks by Diana Anderson.
But audience, thanks for the allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are very grateful as a community to gather together tonight. We are grateful for Pleasant Grove, the camaraderie and fellowship that we have with each other. We ask that Vice Mayor be here, that as we discuss things, that we will make those decisions that will be best for Pleasant Grove. We also ask that while we are away, that our families will be protected, especially with the weather. And we say these things in Jesus Christ. Amen.
I probably should have mentioned in the opening remarks, before the opening remarks, that Scott's wife she's coming early 2 days, so he's excused, and I think they're having the baby as we speak. Naturally, so no inducements or anything. We wish them the best. So he's not going to be doing this. And then procedurally, it takes a quorum of the council to meet. We have 3 members of the 5-member council present, so we can start the meeting and we can conduct business. And 1 person can leave. We can finish the meeting without a full quorum. But in order to vote, right? I'm getting this right. Tina will correct me as soon as I slip up. In order to vote, it needs to be now a 2-to-1. So in the case where you only have 3 council members present, you just need a majority. So 2 people voting, or 2 people agreeing, one way and 1 person the other way, and that will decide it. And those kind of decisions could be heard and reviewed again if more members of the council come back and want to take that subject up again. So for right now, all we need is 2 votes tonight for any kind of action. So it's a good night to move things up. And later on, when we get to the discussion on the replacement of a city council member midterm, could you read the information that you sent to us? Okay. All right, are there any changes to the agenda?
Item 11E is going to be postponed.
No one else is available to take that. Not to be aware. So we need to move that as part of the motion. Any others? Okay, did we add the discussion about the replacement of a council? What item number? Sorry, 11. Okay, thanks. All right, if there's no other changes then, I'll call for a motion on the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve tonight's agenda, removing item E. Is it 11 E?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, now it's an open session. If there's an item on the agenda that is not open for the public, in other words, it doesn't say public hearing or public comment, and you want to talk about that, you can do that now, or let us know that you want to talk about it. And if there's something not on the agenda that you do want to talk about, like all you scouts giving your 2.5-minute talks, now would be a good time to come up to
Would
the.
that be a good time for me?
Go ahead and state your name.
All right,
and
my
address.
name is Donna Jolly. My address is 1380 East, 150 North. I have been at my computer typing up what I wanted to say for the last hour and a half. And I'm gonna try and brief it up. I started coming to city council meetings a year or two ago because I love my country. I love to come to city council meetings and see people participate and express their views. I love to come and hear the Pledge of Allegiance and hear the prayer. I'm going to say prayer. I love, well, what I'd like to say is that in some of these meetings, you've asked people for their different views. And I start thinking that as many people are in here, we have that many different opinions. I respect the people on the city council. I have no way of even wanting your position. I realize that you need a lot of education to make the decisions that you make. And I respect that, because there's no way I would even begin to want to make those decisions. I am here because I live on a road that needs to be fixed. I moved here over 40 years ago, and the road slants a little bit. And at the top of our road, because that one house wasn't built on that road, that wasn't finished, which was a bad decision because that made the road worse. And after years of complaining, a neighbor finally coaxed the city into repairing that. Well, when you repair a road, you know what happens. It starts breaking up. And so that's what has continued to happen. And then last fall, I don't remember what month it was, I was driving down the road and I saw bubbles of water coming out by my neighbor's house. And I heard him call. I didn't have the city council. I was in going to a meeting, so I didn't have the city council's number on my dial. So I called my neighbor to call them, and they said, oh, well, they were busy repairing another one. And then I noticed that my neighbors up on 1400 East, they had heard water running, and they had a hole in that road. And they came along, repaired that, and then they came down our road and dug it up the width of the road. And I saw roots, I saw an old pipe. Then they had to go to my neighbor's yard and make a great big hole in that and fix it. Then 3 weeks later, she had mold in the basement, probably the water running through the pipes. And the city wasn't going to be responsible for that. But I was trying to remember what year, I don't know, I brought scouts here to work on the citizenship and the community merit badge. And Mayor Haney was mayor. And at that time, he said they had planned at least to repair 1 or 2 roads every year. And I don't know what has happened to that plan. I think it's been put under the table. But I would like to challenge every single one of you on the city council and on the other positions to come up 200 South, turn left on 13th East to go to 150 North, and then turn east and go up to 1400 East and see if you want to live on that road. I think it is, since they filled in the hole, well, they have it barricaded a lot. Since they filled in the hole, there's been gravel all over that road. It's dangerous for kids to play on, people ride on, people walk on. Luckily, we haven't had any problems. But if I wanted to sell my house, or I wanted to buy a house, and I drove up my road, I'd say, I don't think I want to live on that road. And I think everybody in this community would feel the same way. I think that is a detriment to the community to have bad roads. People don't want to build on bad roads. The other things I wanted to say is I want to commend the fire department. I have been on the tour, and I know they have worked long hours to repair that building. What I would like to say is I would like to commend them because I think they have set the example for all of us. They have set the example of frugality. They have set an example of living within their means. Now here I come in and beg for a new road, and then I turn around and tell you that we should live within our means. Because I also know that we have 2 bond issues out, one for the rec building and one for the roads. I'm not complaining, the water system. I'm not complaining about those things, they're nice. But I think when we made that decision to build these things and put ourselves in 2 bond issues, we kind of have told ourselves, well, we can't afford another one, or we shouldn't afford another one. I'm not sure, but I think we're over $1 million in debt also. Is that right? Anybody can tell me where we are.
Substantially.
Yes, and that's a substantial amount. And I also know that we have problems with the economy. We never know when the economy is going to go bad again. We never know. You never know. I don't think it's a good idea to be in a lot of debt. You wouldn't run your homes like that. You wouldn't tell yourself, I want a $5 million home and not be able to afford it. You know you'd lose your home. So this is I just wanted to express my opinions about this. I think I live in a wonderful community and I want it to be improved, but I want us to be wise in our decisions. I want us to learn to live within our means. I know we don't have a big tax issue, but that's our problem. But we still, doesn't mean we can't live within our means. We need to learn to live within our means. I came in here one time and there was an older gentleman that came in, and he's come in more than once, expressing his concerns about the rents going up and taxes going up. And that makes me feel very sympathetic because I'm in that age limit. Especially when he told his age, I thought I'm older than he is. So, and I got thinking, if I didn't have a little extra money coming in, I wouldn't be able to afford to live in my home. I wouldn't be able to afford the taxes. I don't think we should increase taxes. We need to learn to live with them. I would not want to see retired people living on fixed incomes, losing their homes. I do want to commend the city for the many good things they have done. And I will mention one other thing. I read in the paper today that Logan needs some repairs on their cemetery, and they knew they couldn't afford it. So what did they do? They're asking for donations, and people are contributing to having the cemetery repaired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna. Thank you for coming to council meeting, because you've been coming. And I want to take your challenge, so can you give me your address one more time?
1380 East, 150 North.
And let me give you my cell phone, so if you're going down the road and you think of a question, I'll find Jack and give you my cell phone.
Well, let me get sitting down and get my pen out.
That's fine, and I'll send it to you.
I'll get them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do open session? We'll close the open session then. There's still some seats up there on the front row. Okay. Okay, let's look at the consent items. Are there any questions or discussions on the consent agenda items? Okay, if not, I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright,
Nervous.
so we'll go to item 7. Don't have any tonight? Okay. So as a note for everyone to be aware of, we currently have an opportunity for some volunteer service time with the planning commission. We can use some alternates. Eric Jensen's here, who's the chair of the planning commission. Ken Young and Reagan, where is he? Reagan is. They present a lot to the planning commission, so they can give you an idea of the time commitment and the kinds of things that we do as far as education and experience goes. And we also have applications we would go out. We'd love to have some. We've had suggestions from the council. This is an ongoing need. People, their lives change and they need to move on, but we would love to have participation. So if you're interested in helping, please contact Kathy Presser, our city reporter, and ask for an application. And go from there.
No, really quick, but Ken, what is the time commitment on that? Because I have someone ask him today.
Okay, if they want more detailed information, they can find it online. There's a scrolling banner on the very first page of the city's website. There's a rundown of what that all entails, but briefly, it's 2 meetings a month. They normally be on the second and fourth Thursday. Those can take a few hours.
And is that 7 o'clock? 7 o'clock.
Yes, well, we actually start earlier with work sessions, and we do, although there's no payment, no compensation, we do still get
Number of years.
4-year terms.
All right, we're gonna go for item 8A, team member of the year.
Mayor and Council, before we get into that, I wanted to mention that we did invite my department to come tonight for a specific purpose, and would like to have my department employees that are here stand for a minute, if we could.
All of Kathy.
Kathy, formally, she could happily stand. We kind of counter stuff. Okay, so we have Royce Davies and Carol Emery and Linda Hale and Barbara Johnson and Dave Houston, and we've got a couple others, Brad Carlisle, who was unable to make it, and Libby is kind of a part-time member as well. I want to say I'm very proud of these great employees. And with that, I'd like to start first with Barbara, if she'll come forward. Wanted to let you know and surprise Barbara with the fact that we are awarding to her the Team Member of the Year. And this is the specific reason why I invited the other employees tonight, so you are relieved of your duty of making any presentation, as I told you you should. So you may sit if you like. But Barbara, you need to stay here for a minute. Scott and David Larson are kind of in charge of this program. Both of them have reasons to not be here tonight, as you understand. Scott has a very important reason. So they asked me to go ahead and make this presentation, and of course, I'm very happy to do that. The team member program has been going for about 3 years now, and Barbara, I'm aware of at least the last 2 years have been nominated. And I understand that this year she came out on top of the voting by a large margin. So that says a lot. want to just say that we are very happy to have Arbor in our department. She's the backbone of everything that goes on. Gosh, what am I doing? I understand it's been 19 years that you've been with the city. Yeah. So she's very knowledgeable, and she's the go-to person when we need something. So, if you recall, I think it was the last meeting, I read a letter from one of our citizens who talked about the pretty blue-eyed ladies that help out front the department. Well, we determined that Barbara actually has green eyes, but she's not pretty. So, so I think that was just one indication of the great service that we get out of Barbara. So not only do you get this beautiful plaque or whatever you call it, yeah, that's right. There is also a $1,000 check that will be coming. So I'd like to congratulate Barbara.
No, I just want to thank everybody. We have a good department. Thanks for listening here. Sometimes it's very stressful, but we always get there left. A lot of people. That's exciting. The first female success. Thank
Picture.
We'll be sad if we don't have
Show me the money.
You guys can use it if you want. See, you look really uncomfortable.
You sit on these seats.
Barbara, before you leave, I just pulled up one of the write-ups that someone submitted for your name, and it says, Barbara has been nominated by others twice in a row for this award. She is well recognized as a dedicated employee who handles a challenging workload with a great attitude. She has worked for the city for over 15 years and has become not only a valued employee in community development, but a key staff in the operations and success of the department. Barbara is very congenial and courteous and is exemplary in displaying great customer service. And that was, just one of the ones that there were several that came through. Another says, describes you as a cloud, that you're personable. She's very friendly to everyone that comes in the office. She puts a pleasant and pleasant grove. Barbara is a good listener and respects the opinions of others. She's understanding when you bring a concern to Barbara. She understands the working of the city and is very compassionate and dedicated. She's very dedicated and has worked for the city for over 15 years. She's very few sick days and is just a valued employee. So I just want to share with you some of the comments that came through us as you're reviewing the application. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And she was my babysitter when I was growing up.
He was kidding.
Okay, we have tonight the URPA. I just learned URPA is actually one step above the CURPA. And why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Thank you. Mayor, City Council, it's an honor to be here. My name is Kim Olson. I'm the Executive Director of the Utah Recreation and Parks Association. I'm here with Dan Harrison, who is our current president. I want to tell you just a little bit about our association, what we do. You did mention the KRPA. In the Utah Recreation Parks Association, we have 4 regions. The Central Utah Recreation Park Association, which is KRPA, is very active here in Utah Valley area. Anyway, what we try and do is promote the parks and recreation industry throughout the state. We believe strongly that parks and recreation is of great value to communities. It promotes physical and emotional health, as well as it's a great economic engine for many communities and create desirable communities for people who want to live there. Recreation is recreation, and we really believe that, that's what people live for, is all the recreation thing. You make money so you can go and play and have fun and recreate. Anyway, we have over 1,000 members here in Utah in our association. We're affiliate of the National Recreation Park Association, which is headquartered in Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. And some of the things we provide for our professional members, we provide education and training, we provide networking, advocacy, partnerships, professional certifications, and professional recognition. And that's what we're here tonight for, is to recognize a professional. And so I will turn the time over to Dan, and he will make those presentations.
Could we have Tyler Wilkins come up for a second? We'd like to talk about him for a minute.
Surprised, right? The whole family.
I want to tell you a little bit about Tyler. Tyler was nominated for an award, and I want to read just a little bit about this award. So Tyler was nominated, excuse me, as the young professional for URPA for this year, and a group of the past presidents get together to decide who's going to win the awards that people are nominated for. And that group got together and selected Tyler to be that recipient. So I want to read you some of the qualifications for this. The award is designated for a person who has joined the professional ranks within the past 7 years and cannot be older than 35. He's getting close. An individual who has exemplified commitment and outstanding service to Parks and Recreation and URPA. An individual that has worked full-time in the profession or substantial part-time work as a program coordinator or similar mid-level management position. Tyler's done some things on the sports side, and you guys know also now on the aquatic side. An individual who has found success in their related field, aquatics, recreation, parks, maintenance, etc. They have to be a URPA member, and a number of other things they can submit that I probably won't go through at this time. But I want to, as actually a former resident here in Pleasant Grove, it's been 11 years since I've lived here, so I feel like this is a coming home of sorts for me. It's neat to be able to present this award to Tyler. I'll tell you a little bit about what I know about Tyler. He's sometimes, as members of the council, you know when you have a good staff member, but you don't get to see them in comparison with other professionals within their field. I have that opportunity, and I've known Tyler for quite a while and had the opportunity to work with him, to get some training with him, to work together on some programs. I'm the recreation director for Lehigh City, and there's some programs that we work jointly on. And just want you to know you've got a top-notch professional in Tyler. He's a good man, does a great job, represents the city well, and represents URPA well. So we'd like to congratulate him and give him this award. A couple other things I'll tell you about Tyler. He was nominated and appointed to serve on the URPA board this coming year. And he's going to be responsible for our annual conference. And so I'll get to work together with Tyler quite a bit, and I'm excited for that opportunity. So not only is he a young professional that's doing a great job now, he's going to have an opportunity to give back a little bit to URPA. Two other quick items. Pleasant Grove Recreation has received 2 other awards that we want to make you aware of. With their junior jazz program, they received the Innovation of the Year award for their sportsmanship program this last year. And so they ought to be recognized for that, and wanted to make you aware of that one. And then one other one, with the Utah Valley Magazine, they were recognized for Best of Utah Valley Reader's Choice Award. And so you have a good group here in Pleasant Grove, and these other 2 awards are not only Tyler's involvement, but also others. You know, Dion is here tonight also. Ian Clint and others have had a big part of that. So we just want you to know you've got some top-notch people here, and make sure they get recognized for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Tyler's kind of a big deal.
You want to hear what he has
Think
to
you
say?
really want me to?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
I'm grateful to this be recognized for this award. These two individuals here are awesome. They're great men to work with. They've been tremendously influential in my life and wanting to be a better professional in recreation. And the way they talk about recreation, I love recreation and I love Pleasant Grove City. I hope I don't cry when I do this. When I'm passionate about something, I am sometimes brought to tears. But there's so many good things happening in this city, and I hope you guys all recognize that through the Recreation Center. When they say that it's definitely essential service. There's a lot of people out here who think it's not essential, that we don't need it. I would completely go the other way on that. I grew up in the recreation here in Pleasant Grove. My mom worked for Pleasant Grove Recreation. I grew up in this old building right here, doing the annual flyers, 1, 2, 3, 4 staple of paper, 1, 2, 3. I started that when I was 5 years old. So, and growing up, roller skating and having all my parties over there in the rec center. Just so many great memories in this town, and has great influential people. Paul Schoonover was huge in my life. To be able to just teach me how to work and said, show me how recreation can raise an individual and how it takes a community of recreation to raise an individual. And it's truly made a difference in my life. And I see it making differences in people's lives every day. So I just want to thank you guys. I look around this room and I see so many people that are involved in recreation, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to provide that service to you. And just thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Tyler, can we get a picture of you in the mirror right
Sure.
You have to hold all 3 flags though.
here? Just
Gotta hold up all
yes,
your
yes,
Okay. That's awesome.
Alright, thanks.
Okay, now we have a presentation from Fountain Point Medical Center.
Thank you for letting us come and take a few minutes of your agenda.
Do you have an award to get out?
No, I feel kind of bad about that. I'll do better next time. Well, I might do that. Either way. My name is Kent Loosle. I'm the CEO of Mount Point Medical Center. My coworker Mark Sanderson is here with me today. You may know him.
Well. Mark, I have a seat.
Yeah, there you go. We just briefly want to introduce you to the new medical center. I want to let people know what it's about. It opens up soon. It opens up in a month and a half. And so just to tell you a little bit about it, Mountain Point Medical Center, you can find it right by Thanksgiving Point, right on the east side of the freeway. So even they see it. There's some signs and electronic billboards, some of those kind of things that identify it. The hospital is a full service hospital, part of a group of hospitals here in Utah. Now we have 4 other hospitals, 3 in the Salt Lake Valley and 1 in Davis County. So it's the first hospital here in Utah County that we have. It's a different system than the other 2 systems that you're familiar with here, but we're excited about being here in the community. I live in Highland, and I'm excited to be able to have another facility of choice here in Utah County. The hospital, like I say, is full service. It has it has a 14-day emergency department run by Mark. We're excited and fortunate to have somebody from PG with us running our emergency services. Full service also means that it has women's services, OB, labor and delivery, it has inpatient services, and this is just the website. It's up there. We can not go too much through that. I'll just probably verbally tell you about the facility. Has intensive care unit at the hospital. Also has heart services. Here in northern Utah County, we don't have a cardiac cath lab, and having a cardiac cath lab is a good thing for our community to be able to do interventional cardiology here in northern Utah County. We don't have another place to be able to do that, at least in the primary service area that we're in. We have full service surgical services. We have state-of-the-art imaging equipment. Let's see. Oh, we want to talk a little bit about the outpatient services. You know, hospitals, it's a 44-bed hospital. And hospitals used to be measured by how many beds they are. You'd say, well, how many beds is yours? Well, it's a 50-bed hospital, it's a 100-bed hospital, 200-bed hospital. Those days are kind of gone. Inpatient services in hospitals are only a small part of what we do anymore. Most of the services in hospitals are outpatient services. You have procedures, you go in, you go home. And so we built this hospital consistent with where the industry is going with a large outpatient services and 44-bed inpatient services. The questions that most people ask are, where's the hospital at? What physicians are going to be there? What insurances does it pay? Those kind of things. Well, from a physician perspective, we're very fortunate to be able to have support from the large independent physicians here in Utah County. So in the hospital, if you can see a little picture of the hospital there. On the left side, it shows kind of a taller part. That's the medical office building where the physicians are practicing outpatient services. On the right-hand side is the hospital. And so the physicians that are going to be in the medical office building there are the same physicians that my family sees it's here. We have Central Utah Clinic. We have Tri-City Medical, which is now Premier Family. American Fork Clinic. We have Alpine Pediatrics. We have PTNT. We have on-site care. So I probably forgot a few. There's several of basically the local physicians have been very supportive about bringing a new hospital to this community and supporting it by putting their practices right there at the side of the hospital. So we're excited about that. What insurances does it take? The insurances that you usually have seen here at Timpanogos here in Warren, the same set of insurances that go to our facility as well. There's some insurances that go to one hospital, some go to the other, and most people can actually go to more than one hospital. And so we encourage choice. We like to be able to have employers and to be able to ensure that their employees have an option of where to go, because we are excited about the service that we have. We've had, like I say, we're opening up soon. We have a grand opening on the 29th of May. And so this community celebration is going to be between 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and the communities, of course, are invited to come and take a tour of the hospital and celebrate with us the this facility. The next Monday, which is June 1, is the first day we start taking patients. So celebration on the 29th, and June 1 we start seeing patients. I want to be brief, so can I answer any questions?
So you're the one who stole Mark.
You know, it's interesting. I have a few people I know in the community that are well respected in the community from a healthcare standpoint and from an EMS standpoint. So I went and talked to a friend of mine and I said, who's the best guy in the valley? And to be honest, he said Mark. He said, you do whatever you can to get Mark. And we did a really good mark. So I'm sorry to the city.
No, we got a great chief, and we had a great chief with Mark, so, I'm just using
Yeah,
that.
But we're excited, we're really excited to have him here. And I know, again, he represents the community as well, whether he's here at the city or he's a Mount Pleasant center. So, any other questions?
Will you just make sure that, can the public come to the grand opening on that day?
Yep, from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock, we have kind of this big community event. And so all communities can come and be part of it. We encourage everybody.
Well, looks like a beautiful facility.
Where is it?
It's by Thanksgiving Point. So directly east, across the freeway from Thanksgiving Point is the new hospital. When you drive by, there's so much building work out there. It's hard to tell what building it is. But now, I mean, it's pretty much done. And it's
South of the utility building.
yeah, it's just south, about a quarter mile south of the building. Yes, ma'am.
Are you affiliated with Mountain Star or IASIS?
We are IASIS Healthcare.
IASIS.
IASIS Healthcare is the name of our corporation. And Mountain Point. So, I mean, everybody's met. There's Mountain Healthcare and Mountain Star. Now we're Mountain Point. And so I know it's kind of confusing, but we're IASIS Healthcare.
Is there anything we can do for you as a city?
Help
spread the word about the opening, or?
Well, the opening is good. I think the thing that would really be helpful is being able to help us educate the community on having the facility there. When I have a chance to visit cities, sometimes they have newsletters. Sometimes they have little letters that go out with power bill, things like that, where it would be nice to be able to educate the community on the facility. And these kind of things are community. Good for the communities, good for building, good for business, good for economic growth in the area. So whatever we can do there, we appreciate it.
An electronic newsletter on our website. I think we have the ability to give us information about the opening and maybe a link so that we can refer people to you. We can at least post it and let them know where they can find more information.
It's wonderful, great. We'll do that. We'll get that to you. I appreciate it. The website that you can see is mountainpointmedicalcenter.com, just the name of the hospital, Mountain Point Medical Center. You can go on there and look at the building and click on a little camera that's been there for the last year, and you can see the growth of the facility. And you'll be able to find, I mean, from a job standpoint, we're mostly at the end of hiring. There's still some positions that are available. But we've worked hard to hire individuals from our communities, from the northern Utah counties, so that we can.
Did you mention how many total employees you know about?
I did. I think we'll have somewhere around 230 employees to start with. And as you can imagine, that's a Herculean task. So I mean, in healthcare, it's hard to get. I mean, you hear about the crisis of the shortage of doctors and nursing, and that's true. Although the excitement of our facility has been good. We have our med-surg director that he leads about 25 employees in the particular area she's in. Like, I think she had like 125 applicants, so really a lot of interest from the job standpoint. It's been good.
Do you have conceptual expansion, like other facilities you're gonna have in the future?
We do. The building is stressed to be able to have 2 more floors going up, so that we can move from a 44-bed hospital to maybe 150-bed hospital. When you drive by, you can see most of it's brick, except just a couple areas that are kind of copper color stucco or stucco. And the reason that's stucco instead of brick is that's where we'll be able to grow. So places like our emergency room, our operating rooms, our imaging, those are the departments that can grow fast. And so we've been able to build those out and have land. We bought 28 acres, so we can grow to the substantial. Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate it. Nice to see you again, Mark.
Nice to see everyone.
Especially to see Jessica. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we'll go into section 9. These are action items ready for vote. Our first item, 9A, is to consider for approval a proclamation declaring April 25th as Arbor Day.
Mayor and council, tonight we'd like to propose something a little different for Arbor Day. Generally in the past, we plant 20 to 30 trees in one of our parks. This year it's gonna be the same. We're gonna try to plant 140 trees.
Whoa.
So these are all native trees and they're seedlings, so they're about this big. But we're gonna try to do that on the 25th in Battle Creek, Anderson Park. And we have Josh Gerber, who's an Eagle Scout candidate, who is helping the Beautification Commission organize and see this project through. So tonight we're here asking for the resolution. April. So this is part of our Tree City USA. Also, we have to have this Arbor Day program and presentation along with this resolution.
And this is something the public can come and help with.
Most definitely.
Okay. Do we read the proclamation? Okay. So I'll read it and then we need a motion. Proclamation Arbor Day, April 25th, 2015. Whereas Arbor Day is observed throughout the nation, and whereas trees provide beauty to the community. Whereas trees provide valuable shade from the hot summer sun, whereas trees can reduce erosion of topsoil and produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are valuable in purifying the air in Utah's arid climate, and whereas having beautiful trees planted in the community is an important matter to the citizens, and whereas the city was named Pleasant Grove because of a beautiful grove of trees and reflects the appreciation of our forefathers had for them, and whereas Pleasant Grove as Utah City of Trees continues to be characterized by the scenic landscape that trees provide. Now therefore, I, Michael Daniels, Mayor of Pleasant Grove City, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim that the citizens of Pleasant Grove observe April 25th, 2015 as Arbor Day by joining the Beautification Commission at Anderson Park, 950 East and 200 South, at 8 a.m. for a tree planting ceremony, and further urge everyone to plant a tree. I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the proclamation declaring April 25th, 2015 as Arbor Day.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Jan.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, action item 9B is to consider approval of a final plat of vacation of Lot 1 of Warren Estates subdivision, Plat B, located approximately 1294 west, 3150 north, in the RR zone.
Okay, Mayor and Council, this Lewis Estates Plat B is the result of a vacation of two lots and two separate plats that adjoin each other. So that would include Lewis Estates Plat A and Warnick Estates Plat A. And so it's basically a simple lot line adjustment that we're doing. So this neighbor to the north is selling a portion of his property, which the boundary line is right here currently, to the neighbor to the south. So that this lot will be much deeper and larger than the one to the north. It's about 65 feet that is being adjusted from one property to the other. However, the end result is that they will both still meet a half-acre lot size as is required by the RR zone. So there are no real issues here. There are some adjustments to the utility easement boundaries with this lot line adjustment. But other than that, there are no big issues or concerns that are associated with this proposal. This did go forward to the Planning Commission recently, and it received approval of the preliminary plat. And so with minor adjustments, it is now coming forward to you for approval of the final plat.
Any questions?
show the actual plat here. There's the one lot in the one and the other lot and then proposed.
So these are huge. I mean,
Yes.
looking at what's being adjusted compared to what's remaining, I mean, this is it's tiny.
Right, so you look at the size of, well, it's not showing it real well there, but
That one shows.
the line right here, if you can see it, the adjusted line from where it was down here, this is still a half acre. So that's like over 3/4 of an acre.
What are they gonna do with it?
Personal uses, they have the ability to have large animals. Animal rights are associated with the properties in the zone.
So there's been no applications this time other than a lot adjustment. Right. Okay. Any questions for Ken? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Made a motion, we approve the final plat of vacation of lot 1 on Warnock Estate subdivision plat A and lot 3 of Lewis Estates plat A to create a 2-lot subdivision called Lewis Estates plat B located approximately 1234 west, 3150 north in the RR zone.
Motion by Sid, second by Diana, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Ken. All right, item C, 9C, is to consider for adoption an ordinance 2015-14, authorizing the mayor to sign a franchise agreement with, I hope I get this right, Syringa Network.
That's correct.
Thank you. For a non-exclusive franchise to use the city rights of way to provide telecommunication services to other service providers and providing for connectivity.
Mayor and Council, Syringa Networks is a broadband service provider for high-end bandwidth users. They work with cellular companies who resell the bandwidth, so they don't provide direct cellular service. Their proposed location for this franchise agreement is up 600 West towards the Manila Elementary School in that right of way there. I put this on the agenda because they were in a hurry to get this approved. Sent them the draft on the 2nd of April. They have not sent me back a total acceptance of the franchise agreement. So the council has 2 options tonight. You can either continue it to next week to give them an opportunity to make sure that they accept the document in the format in which I presented to them. Or you can approve it tonight conditioned upon them completing the steps. They have to fill out a franchise agreement or a franchise application and pay a $500 fee. So either way, I don't anticipate any problems with the language, but we did add a couple things to their standard.
So they're in a hurry, but they haven't approved their version of the draft.
Yeah, when I sent them the draft, I explained to them that we usually like the entity to sign first.
I think that's because they're making application, so.
Right, and I did email her again today to remind her, and she attempted to get back with me this afternoon. Just left a message, so I haven't been able to finalize anything.
So I guess in keeping with our normal procedure on how we handle these things, my recommendation to the council is that we continue because we're usually not the first ones to sign agreements. So I can entertain a motion on that.
Yes.
Your Honor, we continue item 9C, the adoption of ordinance 2015-14 authorizing to sign a franchise agreement with Syringa Network for non-exclusive franchise to use rights of way to provide telecommunication services to other service providers. Do we need to serve or do we?
I think it's dependent on when they sign their draft.
It's not a public hearing, so you don't need a date certain, so it can be without date until they're ready.
What date?
Motion by Ben, second by Diana, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, now we're on item 10, section 10, items with public action items with public discussion. Okay, under item. Great. So section 11, items for discussion with no action taken. Item A is a presentation on the water conservation plan that the beautification committee and public works has been working on. This is part of a continuation of what we discussed several weeks ago.
I believe Scott was gonna introduce this, and I'll have a little information that you want to go along with it. But tonight, we'll turn the time over to Nathan Gerber. He is our chair for the Beautification Commission. For the past 8-12 months, the Beautification Commission has been working on a conservation plan that the city can go forth, working with Public Works on educating the public on our water source and the resource it is to us, and then just on conserving it. So as soon as Nathan's ready to go here, we'll turn the time over to him. And they put a lot of time, a lot of effort into this. They've had quite a few meetings with Public Works, making sure that we're all on the same page. And I believe we'll let Nathan get into it a little bit better, but this is a 5 to 20-year plan, and they have some great ideas as far as the next couple of years, into the schools, those types of things.
So can I just have someone asking today about this tonight? It's linked on our website, obviously, because it's just coming forward now. So can we get this slideshow on under the Public Works tab on, and also under the presentation section of the city website? Because they're gonna feel very sure people for this.
There's been, with the drought year, we've had a lot of people just catching us everywhere we go, asking us how are we doing with water and what are we doing about conserving. I think it's time.
It is, and I know we as a city, we're looking at ideas, technology out there that we can utilize for our ground facilities to improve our conservation also. We've done our water audits, we know what we're putting out there. We have a little bit stricter regulations than the public, but I think there's opportunities for us to still conserve, and we're looking at that. I'll turn time over to Nathan.
Great, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I was asked by the Beautification Commission to come and present what we've done so far. Nathan Gerber, I'm acting chair at the moment of the commission, as long as they'll have me. So, like Dion said, there's been almost a year's worth of information put together into this. So we just wanted to give you a quick presentation of what we're proposing to do. So this is the Water Conservation Education Awareness Plan that we're proposing. What this does is it dovetails with the Water Conservation Plan of the Public Works. So the conservation plan is what they focus on, making sure we have the right watersheds, the amount of water that we need, and those kinds of things, the facilities and equipment. The awareness and education plan, what the Beautification Commission is proposing, that we actually do the education and the awareness to residents on the need to conserve water and how to conserve water, ways that we can do that. That's really what it boils down to. And then we work with Public Works to help inform the public, like you said, Mayor. People request all the time, how are we doing, what are we doing, those kinds of things. We'll help with Public Works to get that information out on a regular basis. So the point of this education plan is fourfold, really. It's to educate the residents about the need to conserve water, identify the ways that each of the residents can actually do that individually and also as a community. It also helps everyone become what we've coined as water wise. We have a little slogan that goes along with all of this. And then we really want to set an example to surrounding areas. It's daily now that I hear on the news or through some other media channel of something going on in Utah about water conservation. We'll talk about it for just a second.
By the way, I was at PC yesterday watching my soccer on that field.
Yep.
They have shut off all water.
It's all shut off down there. So this is some of the stuff that we're up against. These are actually statements that I personally have heard just in the last few months, especially the last 3 or 4 months of this year with the water shortage. Lots of conversation about water shortage, but unfortunately we get these kind of comments. One individual said, well, it's according to secondary irrigation, I pay every month, but I only get a certain number of months, so I'm going to use as much as I want, which was a little shocking to me. Another one is this one. I didn't quite get this one at all, but someone told me that, well, if we run short with water, you'll just pump more, so that's okay. We're good. Not exactly. And then the last one was someone was concerned that as we move down water conservation paths and things like that, they would have to turn their yards into really a xeriscape or a no planting at all kind of situation. That's not what we're proposing in any way or form. So that's what we're trying to educate past. What some others are doing right now, I don't know if you heard just yesterday, in fact, I pulled one from just yesterday that the mayor issued a level 1 advisory to the city of Salt Lake City proper. It's in accordance to the city's water shortage contingency plan, which I thought was an interesting concept of having a contingency plan with 4 or 5 different levels. And they've already reduced the water shortage by about 20% in the city of Salt Lake proper since the year 2000. Now we all know that Utah is growing, but they've still been able to reduce their, since 2000 when they took their measurement, they're now using 20% less than they were back then, even with the growth. So that was impressive. And if you don't know, I'm sure you do, but the city or the state of Utah has a big goal to reduce their overall consumption of water by 25% by the year 2025. That's off of the 2,000 per capita water demand numbers that they had. That's on, and that is including almost 200,000 people every 4 years increasing in Utah. So they're very, very aggressive goals that they have, and we want to dovetail into that. Another one that's happening, and this is where we took a lot of our research about a water conservation education plan. They've been doing it for quite a while. They've been doing it since 2000, so 15 years. And what they have seen is from 2008 to 2013, they were able to reduce their water consumption by 3%, even while experiencing average growth of over 1.5%. So it's pretty impressive that they were able to do that. Now notice, since they've been doing it since 2000, but they only showed a real reduction starting in 2008. And the reason why is because it takes several years to start to saturate the community with the education and the know-how and the understanding of what we're really trying to accomplish. So what do all these have in common? They have 3 things in common. First of all, they all have an education or an awareness plan of some sort, educating the community and their residents on how they can reduce their water consumption and what their responsibility is in reducing that as a whole. They also have very consistent communication channels that they're using to make sure that the residents are kept informed of how we're doing, not only on what our current water situation is, but how we're doing towards conserving. Are we increasing? Are we not increasing? Are we doing a good job? Those kind of things. And all of these plans that I've referenced have about a 20-year lifespan. They all take about 20 years to implement. So hopefully I won't be still doing this in 20 years, but we'll see.
For as long as they'll have to.
Well, I'm going to have to amend that now. But it takes about 20 years to saturate the community with the education and the know-how and the responsibility to change behavior and attitudes. So really what we're looking at is education awareness is what the Beautification Commission is proposing that we take on and we start pushing across the city. And then regulation monitoring really falls still within the public works domain. We'll dovetail with those. But the 3 key elements to this good plan are those 3: education, awareness, regulation, and then monitoring. So here's how we broke down the plan, and each of you should have received, I think, got an email with the draft of the plan. We didn't want to bring it all up here word for word. That would take way too long. But basically, the plan is broken down into 3 phases. The first phase is years 1 through 5. We focus on the residents. We focus on educating and making them aware of what they can do and how they can help. Then years 6 to 10, we continue that focus, but we also jump in and start working with businesses, churches, and schools to reduce their consumption. In the plan, we've referred to both of these as the residents as low water usage or low water consumers, where the larger businesses, schools, and churches are large consumers because they'll go through a lot more water. And then year 2010 to 20 is just to measure and evaluate and continue the education saturation. So the education channels that we're going to be using are these right here. We have a website for the Beautification Commission. It has a whole section on water conservation. We're going to be updating that on a regular basis.
Is that up right now?
It is up. We change it quite regularly, and social media and also the newsletter and the homepage slider of the Pleasant Grove website, we're planning to utilize and draw people's attention to it as we get this approved and moving forward.
So can you find this through our city website? Here at the city website, is there a link on there yet?
I believe so, but I'm not sure. I know that we've requested it. So. There will be a flyer or an info sheet that we'll hand out of several different functions. Arbor Day would be a great example. Our celebration would be a great example where we'll be passing these out. We'll canvass the city in different sections at different times and hand them out there, those types of things. We have the Strawberry Garden, the Strawberry Days Hidden Garden Tour that we will be having these at each of the homes, those kinds of things. We also want to do a magnet that goes out at some point with the city bill, where we can have some general information to draw people's attention to this on a constant, regular basis. A parade entry, just to bring people's attention to that. The free water checks are what most of you probably know these from slowtheflow.org. You've seen advertisements and things like that where they'll come. They'll put measuring devices out on your lawn, turn your sprinkler systems on, measure each zone. They will adjust and calculate how much you actually need from each zone to water that area properly and give you an estimated sheet so you can adjust your sprinkler system to that. In Utah, I'm also a master gardener. We get called out on a lot of calls to fix things in people's yards. What's going on with this plant or those kind of things? 90% of those calls we go out on in Utah County are water related because we pull the water. So it's just a matter of educating people on, we can turn the sprinklers down, we can shorten the run cycles, all sorts of things we can do to maximize our water usage. And that's all that free water check is. It's just something to educate, to help people understand what they can do to improve their water situation on their yards.
So who put together the beautiful Pleasant Grove?
That was the Beautification Commission.
Okay, that looks great.
Oh, thanks.
Really, really good. Well thought. And so is this something that we can put on there too?
Yes, all of this information, once it's approved, we wanted to come here first to make sure we were going in the right direction, but absolutely all this will be available. More resources will be added. This is really just the initial of what we wanted to start.
I just love it's just really simple, easy to navigate, pictures. It looks really good.
Great, thank you. Great. The other thing that we wanted to do, we took this idea from one of the other conservation plans we saw, was that they've moved into the elementary schools doing assembly programs for fourth graders. It seems to be the grade where they hit them with all sorts of things.
And then they come home and guilt their parents.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's a good one.
What we've actually, when my kids come home from school and they've seen an assembly and it's interesting to them or whatever, that's all we hear about for 2 weeks, right? What a great opportunity to, pass the word, hey, when you're brushing your teeth, turn the faucet off while you're brushing your teeth. Simple little things, nothing major, and we can really reduce the amount of water we use. Coloring book for younger children, and then what we've come up with is called the Water Wise Pledge. And this is kind of fun. We thought what we could do is put a quick thing together where they just need to complete a free water check. They can also discuss as a family the information that's on beautiful.grove.org about how to save water. And then they just need to implement at least 3 of the water reduction techniques indoors that are listed there or talked about there. Once they do that, they can submit their name in for a drawing that we'll hold about every couple of months for a simple prize. And they'll also receive a window sticker that we're designing now that says I am water wise or something to that effect. Just something to get the word out, to get people's participation and start to get the information out to people. Hey, this is a big deal and we all want to participate. This is the budget request that comes with it. You know, every request probably has a bill. This is our bill. We've tried to break this down based on, and if you've read through the details of the plan, we're not attacking all of the different channels every year. We're trying to break it up so that we can handle the load. It comes to about just under $6,500 is what we're requesting. However, we already have $1,000 that has been granted to us from Public Works on a regular basis for education on water conservation, so that really helps. We're also going to be seeking donations for about $1,400 of that. So really what we're asking is for the $4,000 on ongoing budget into a new budget for this program.
So have you included that in your budget request? Okay. Thank you.
So in conclusion, really we just need to work together to save our water and also to prepare for future generations and growth that are coming. And we're requesting the adoption of the Water Conservation Awareness and Education Plan and also the budget of $4,000. Anybody have any questions?
I do. It has to do more along the lines of the messages that are kind of floating out about water and what the motivation behind billing, what it's for, why raise prices. You know, I even had a person come visit me today that's running for a state office. And in the conversation, it became obvious they were misinformed as well about what the issue is with water. And just in the education plan, are you considering talking to them about where water comes from, what it really costs to deliver the water versus the water itself, and the fact that if something is implemented price-wise, it's an intentional raise to curtail the use of water.
Yes.
It's a finite resource.
Yeah. Yeah, what we plan to do is just like thinking of water as we do everything else, power, gas, everything. Everything is a resource, and it takes money to generate that resource. And even though the water is available, it still takes money to put it into reservoirs, put it into tanks, treat the water for our use, and deliver it to our homes. So we are planning to educate them not only on why it's important to conserve water, but what we as a community need to do. Again, there's those three prongs, right? There's the education awareness, but then there's monitoring, which if you don't have the mechanisms in place to monitor how much water is being used per household, it's hard to reduce that. So that's one piece, and then the regulation.
So as far as the educational effort, I saw a couple of things in there like door hangers, etc. What's the method for reaching people? You know, actually being successful in reaching out and being able to help them understand that there's only so much water Mother Nature provides in any given year. That's really the issue. And so for any given year, what we're really trying to do is just make sure that everybody can drink and survive. And then when there's plenty, that's fine. But we're in a drought. How are we going to reach them?
These channels right here are the ways we're planning to reach them. Does that answer your question, or
It does.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to hit each of these channels differently because not everyone goes to the website. Not everyone is going to be on social media. Not everyone's going to read a flyer that you put on the city bill or if you hang it on their door. Not everybody attends a parade. So what we're trying to do is reach out through a multi-pronged approach to reach as many of the residents as we possibly can. And because it is a long-term process, it's going to take a while to saturate our education.
So I guess what I'm asking is, if you look at this list, do we consider this kind of an approach over a 20-year period to be aggressive, passive? Where would this fit in terms of penetrating and really reaching people?
Well, within the first 5 years, you're going to see most of these channels ramp up for the entire resident sector. So that's pretty aggressive. It's especially when you think of the size of the Beautification Commission and what we have to do. It's going to take some effort. We're probably going to need a few more volunteers to help. We're leveraging every possible way we can with the water checks. We're leveraging some Eagle Scouts on scout projects. We're trying to do what we can to saturate as quickly as possible. The goal is to saturate, at least to make people aware that we're doing something right away and why it's important to do. Changing opinions and things like that will come over time.
That's so, thank you. That was really.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Great, thank you.
Very good. So item 11B would be to discuss housing in the growth zone.
Oh wait, are we done with that? With the beautification portion?
Are we done?
Like, are we?
We're not taking action tonight.
It's not an action. So when does that happen? Like the
When
action?
we're presented with the adoption of the Water Conservation Education Awareness Plan, when we adopt it,
Which is?
we don't have that yet, but yes?
I was just gonna say, Scott had some, I found out in the Dropbox about water conservation plan. I don't know if you want to look at that, make any comments or direct them back to him.
Does it give the dates of when we would adopt?
I don't believe so, man. I think we were looking at this was the right back and beyond. Part of the education plan. If that was the case, it wasn't the case, we have time to change things up a little bit and then present that for, to be voted on. So, I think we can get on the agenda within the next couple of years. So I have 3 other items in addition to the presentation.
This was the emergency email before the baby.
No, it's in the Dropbox. It's basically supplemental information. We kind of supplements what the water conservation plan says, and it's basically what we plan to do as a city. With the city council's approval in terms of what people how we're moving forward.
Share it with us.
In terms of enforcement of our current regulations, we're just going to continue the same type of enforcement that we've had the last 2 summers. We're going to have water patrols. Once the secondary water is turned on, we're going to use the door hangers for the warnings and the fines. We're going to add a supplemental page to the door hanger that addresses the purpose behind the water schedule and the fact that our residents are overwatering, and explanation of the water source is unlimited and that it's a limited resource, and explanation that it's an extremely low snowpack issue. And we're going to use education information as the beautification plan has outlined with reaching out to citywide information distributors, the website, the social media, and the newsletter. We're going to create a video and have a link posted on our citywide information channel. The video will have information about the supplemental page, test video of overwatering, broken sprinklers, wasted water, etc. And in order to get the community's buy-in on conservation, in order to sort of let them know how it's doing, as recommended by the Water Conservation Plan, we want to install a thermometer on the front page of our website showing the amount of water we should be using and what we are using, and ideally update it weekly what we'll have. There will be a cost to doing that, so we'll have to make sure that that's a good
So it looks very similar to a recap of what we discussed when we talked about the water conservation plan, not the education awareness plan, but the one that we discussed and approved about 3 weeks ago.
So I guess that if I want to add to that, so should I just get with Scott, because I think I wanted to add what the city is going to do to lead out on like where we're going to put meters, we're shutting off water on the water features, and add that to the plan so residents can see firsthand that we're leading out on water conservation. So is that where I would add that?
I think, yeah, I think that was actually presented and discussed and agreed that it would be.
Because
So it might be
yeah, it's not in the Dropbox. I'm not the okay, I'll leave it.
Another thing I would emphasize here is the fact that it is a drought. I mean, the reason we're really diving in is there isn't going to be enough water if we continue to use it this year the way we've done in previous years. We're like at the bottom. So if that can be included as well.
So right now we currently have a free.
But they're spending money on holding $50,000.
Was it 2 times
In the early spring, this kind of spring all the way through about 1st of June, the recommended time is 1 to 2 times. And then once you get into hot summer time, it's 3 times.
Gardner Gerber, I have a question too. Master Gardner Gerber. So, or I guess it's question as well. So we're not, this really can go public until it's adopted in a couple weeks, is that right?
I've heard it.
I mean, because people are asking about our water conservation plan, and we don't.
It's not been adopted yet formally.
Okay.
So, and my suggestion would be is if you want to start with
List. My road was. Okay.
Well, here's my big fear is that we haven't watered and we all can go on and we're gonna turn on our secondary.
And probably a little more this year than previous years, just because it's been so dry for so long. We're hoping that this storm and the next couple of storms will green things up and people by May 1 won't be panicking as much. Yeah.
As long as we include the missing items.
So it depends on how long starts out. Following the statement for
Were you referring to the missing items in that awareness plan?
I'm not sure if they were part of the awareness plan, but I do remember that when we discussed the water conservation plan, the things that Sid mentioned and I'm not so sure about what I mentioned, but that was mentioned then and discussed. What I think I remember also from beautification, there was going to be a list of plants. Is that right?
That's not.
It is, it's on the website.
But is that part of the plan?
Not necessarily part of the water conservation. Definitely there for public to utilize. I think as far as education, work time ready.
Yes.
He says that they want to.
Something was on,
Wants to order water less often, longer. They won't. No.
Church. And they're working on an app for the academics. Where if it rains, they can just on their phone rain delay sprinklers, which is huge because it takes someone hours and hours every week to go to the churches on.
I have a flyer at home that came out of a newspaper that's specific about agriculture. And it's the same kind of app that you can use to do it just on your own home. So even if you're at work, like today, I was driving home in the slight little wind that we had. Exactly, and here we are, middle of April, and we've got, I must have passed half a dozen places with their sprinklers going full bore, and it was watering the road. I mean, nothing was hitting the ground because it was blowing so hard. So, if you're at work and you know that the wind's blowing or that it's raining, you can just turn it off. Just put on rain delay. Yeah.
So a question, can you add, would it be possible to add to your website an FAQ section?
Yes.
For where you get like a lot of these questions and that maybe would be another tab.
Right.
Would that be possible?
Yeah, we'll put it specifically on water usage and water conservation. Yeah, that would be great. Great suggestion. Thank
And
you.
I just had another question. Okay, you have an opening, or how many openings do you have on your committee?
Once the plan's adopted, a whole lot. I think we have, 3 or 4 right now?
So you have 3 or 4. So the other thing I was going to ask is if on your website as well, because I do see that you said that your form online on the Beautification Commission. Could you put on there as well, kind of time commitment when you meet, so then if people are interested in that, can make sure that they can kind of know what they're, like, you know, if it's once a month, yeah, or what the time commitment is. And because I saw a small schedule was perfect, and if we could just add on there, kind of, you know, it's a volunteer position, this is when they meet, and then I can just send people to that next. Who gets the, do you get the email after they
Yeah,
submit that?
once they submit it, it comes to myself and Beyond and the Secretary of the Beautification.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'd like to be able to advertise that as soon as possible, because it gets a preview, you know, a lot of work ahead and.
Yeah.
But
I'll make those adjustments and
Okay.
I'll send you a
Yeah,
message.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask a couple of quick questions for you, so, way, I just want to drill down a little bit on the budget request for inflation. And understand, currently you get $1,000 from public works, and that's all you're working with, so you request.
Yeah, so the total budget, as we put this together, we think we can do this per year for about $6,500, just under 65. Donations of 1,400 to 1,500, 1,000 from public works, and so this 4,000 is a new request that we do not have.
And those donations you haven't sought yet, either, well, that's an anticipated figure.
Yes.
So have some thoughts about how to pursue that.
Yeah, so if you read the details of the plan that was emailed out earlier in the week, it shows our schedule across the first 20 years of which channels we're going to focus on which years. And we'll utilize those funds to maximize those channels each of those years. So we won't take the whole thing on at once because it'd be too expensive and too time consuming, but at the same time, we won't be doing every channel for 20 years.
Maybe let's not limit our donation possibility.
Right.
We're looking for 6,000.
We'll keep it open-ended on the upward side.
But this is how much you initially need to get the program up and running right now.
Yeah, to really give a good push this first year as soon as possible, yeah, that's what we would need. Great, thank you.
That's a good presentation. Thanks. Okay. No further discussion. Let's go on to 11B. We'll discuss housing in the Grove Zone. And I think you're up as a presenter. Is that right?
Yeah. Let me go.
Whatever you
I'm
prefer.
just kidding. So I wanted to talk about the remaining land that we have in the zone and what it's currently zoned as. And Scott put a map in the Dropbox. Right now, there is the potential for 470 units of multifamily. And I'm interested in changing that. So that could, if it makes sense in that area, it would be commercial only. I believe that we've reached our limit as far as not a day or but I think we have enough units down there that we need to focus on commercial and show developers that we're serious about having commercial come in if it makes sense in the area. And just wanted to take a look at the remaining land and see what we can do to make sure that we're driving commercial in there for better tax base and better revenue, and just look at lessening the multi-family potential that we have.
So are the people here from the council of the same opinion that they're willing to entertain putting that on the agenda for reevaluation of the land use in that area?
I'm certainly comfortable having a conversation or any proposal. There's data that I would love to see. I'd like to have a sense of what that change would have as an impact on our growth. What we're throwing out numbers in the city, what opinions from legal will be on the implications, and some other data that would be valuable. We'll have a conversation.
So maybe we make an assignment then. Scott's not here, so Tina, can you pass this along? We'd like us to come back to reevaluate what the current uses are and what the future uses might be to move more towards commercial and sales rather than allowing more high density housing, multi-family units in the general area of the zone. And we'd like some research data behind that as far as the impacts that that will have, both legally as well as financially.
Well, okay, so I just have a question legally when you're asking about that. Nobody is vested in the zoning that currently is on the property. So if the council decides they want to change the zoning into something that's more commercial, the fact that a landowner currently might expect to sell their property for more money because they're able to have multi-family or association zone is not really a legal consideration for the council to make. If you want to do it on some other basis, that's fine, but I just want to make sure that you're clear that you have the ultimate legislative authority and you can change the zone anytime you feel it's appropriate. The only time anyone is actually vested in the current land use code is when you have completed application as being all done. So anybody who's in the process.
And that was my question about the zoning.
Anybody who's in the process now who has a completed application to remove active is vested in whatever land use zone is currently. Anybody else is not vested. So when you're asking for impacts on land or
My question was, is there any right now that
Yes, so on this map, it's got blue outlined properties. There is one, it's the Bean property on Proctor Lane, 8.4 acres, that we have received an application on that. It is under review right now. It's actually planning with the planning commission for site plan review this next meeting.
8.4?
Yes, the 8.4. So, but the other two, there is no vesting application.
I think didn't we 2 weeks ago approve
An ordinance
the
amendment.
setbacks and
Right.
whatnot to allow that
Right.
development to go forward?
So the information on that as it's coming forward is that there's 68 units planned. 27 of them are multifamily, but 41 are single family. So it's actually more single family in nature than it is multifamily. And that based on the requirements that we currently have in the Grove Zone multifamily code, the maximum numbers that are being shown here are actually going to be very difficult to achieve as we've required 3 different types of housing units, and that the lowest density has to have the most acreage and all that. It's very, very difficult to meet the 12 units per acre maximum that is otherwise permitted. So that's why you see on this project a lower density. It's actually about 8 units to the acre. So I think that's really probably more realistic. It could actually go a little higher, maybe up to 10, based upon what type of site plan or product they propose. But just again to realize that the maximum numbers here are probably a hard stretch.
I think though that what the council is saying is rather than have on our zoning map that multifamily in these areas is a permitted use for that, the council wants to look at it and potentially remove it as a permitted use.
Right.
So
So
whether it's hard or not, the option isn't there.
Sure. So I just wanted to point out the Bean property would have vesting, so we probably
already
wouldn't be able to change that zoning, whereas the other two we could look at.
And so I think the concern Diana is saying is if there are projects that have already started down the path, we're gonna run into a timing, and it's not the intent to stop someone's project midstream. We just want to reevaluate what's there and address it.
Catch it before it becomes something that's in front of us and we're having to alter it.
Okay. So
But so just remove the
Can you-
Robinson property.
can you carry that message? Okay.
This is a procedural question. Does that kind of topic typically go before a planning commission today? Entertain discussions with departures from the master plan? Is that-
If there's a proposal to change the zoning, yes, it would go forward to the planning commission before coming to you. But I think you may want to just have discussion on it first before it becomes an actual application to change the
Thanks, Ken. Any further discussion on that? Okay. Item 11C, a discussion on proceeding on structural engineer. Do I understand that correct?
Yep.
This is specific to the RFP.
Yeah, so Scott included that in his email. If I could pass it. So he, one of his announcements there. It said, proceeding with structural engineer, this was set up for the city council to determine how you'd like to proceed on securing the structural engineer. Our recommendation is to form a committee of some staff and some elected officials to screen the application. We would recommend using a weighted formula of price, 15%, personnel and qualifications, 25%, historic building experience, 40%, schedule, 10%, references, 10%. If the committee wants to tweak those numbers, that is fine as well. The committee can get it down to 3, and then the full city council can review it and select the final candidate. So
The definitions or weighting that was given, what's the basis for that?
That was what we put into the RFP. We asked them to
Okay,
submit
so we're just
information in those
using to
categories.
see if they met each one of those.
Correct. So we're recommending some weightings, and as we looked at the application, so we briefly looked at what has been submitted in the second application. Looking at that, those percentages of weighting, saying if they scored, say you gave them a 1 out of 10 in each of those categories, you didn't multiply it by that many factors. So it's their personnel and their experience with evaluating historic buildings that are the whole what we're recommending.
So a question, it seems like with the loss of Jay, the rest of us don't have a lot of structural engineering background at all. Am I correct? That's probably fair. Is that fair?
Lincoln Logs.
Would it be wise for us to ask the staff that does have that experience to pre-screen, 7 applications based on that 80, and then bring forward the 3 that
we could do that. But Scott's recommendation was that I think he was thinking that some members of the council would want to be involved in all of them. If you want staff to look at all 7 of them and pare it down to 3, we can do that.
typically every RFP that I'm aware of has been handled within one of the departments or multiple departments, evaluated, put out on the paper, all the pros and cons, with recommendations on which ones qualify and why, and the ones that didn't qualify and why. And then we have the information, but it's in a format that the layman can understand, and then perhaps make a good decision.
We can do that.
And that's more of a suggestion to the council for ratification rather than, you guys okay with that?
I'm generally comfortable with that, but the one suggestion I would make is that if I were to revise the weighting at all, I would put a higher weight on price. As long as the engineer is capable, as long as the firm can do the work, then really the least expensive option has a great deal, right?
Except that we asked them to, the criteria that we listed in the RFP was that way.
Oh, no, we did not give anyone a weighting. We just said this is the information. I understand the desire to have price be a weight. I actually argued for less than what Scott's recommending there. We can increase it. I do think it's important to evaluate these firms based on their professional criteria. The desire here is to get someone who is very qualified and will give good recommendations to how these buildings may be preserved or what limitations they may have. I would say it's probably, in my view, it's more important to select and be very comfortable with the quality of the personnel that we're hiring. And then look and see, if the qualified person we really like is $100,000, for example, and the next qualified person is $40,000, well then we'll go with the $40,000 person. But I think it's more important to say, these are the qualifications. And generally speaking, there's a lot of truth in you get what you pay for. So if you're going to give a large weight to the price, you may end up awarding to someone who literally isn't qualified, just because the price plays such a role.
And will have they line item out the amount of money
Yes. So we asked, well, no, we asked them to bid on a per building basis. I know who's actually looked at the prices right now. All of their proposals are in my Dropbox folder with PG Engineering, so if you want to look at them, you have proposals there. But like I said, we had them submit their proposal with all of their qualifications, all the criteria, and then they submitted a separate document for the price.
So what you're suggesting is first round is you're going for qualifications. Second round, out of those that are qualified, you get the price.
I think maybe what we want to do is with the top three, we bring you the top three, you rank them, then we open up prices and see, does that change the rest?
So-
And this is only a recommendation. You could do something different in the evaluation.
I'm sorry.
You could do something different in the evaluation.
Well,
Some other means of bringing the
I
prices.
just don't know whether it's blocks for, like I'm not a CPA, I'm just. Someone in the audience that is, I would turn to somebody else with that skill set to do that part of the work, evaluate, and then bring the recommendations so that I can act upon the information that I have clear what I'm doing.
Well, my thinking is that there's almost a binary determination. These people are competent and qualified, and they'll do it well and do it right, or they won't. And we can kind of, if they're not qualified, we don't entertain them at all. But once they're qualified, if they meet the threshold to be capable of doing the work, then price is the driving factor, in my view. And maybe we're saying the same thing in a way.
I understand that. I'm not sure it's easy to just, yes or no from the qualifications. Qualifications tend to be on the continuum. So you may find that these guys, we really like the schedule. We really like the experience that these guys have dealt with some buildings maybe that we find these particularly relevant to what we have. But maybe they've been in business for a short time.
Will we see that?
You can see it right now. It says everything that they've submitted on their proposal is available to you right now. The only thing you don't see is
We created the summary sheet.
I have not created any. This was just right now to say, what do you want to do?
Well, what I would like
It's a summary sheet.
is one of those summary sheets that we normally get with all bids, and it lists every person that, or every group that applied, what our estimate and criteria was, addresses how each one of the firms added that, identifies the three that were qualified with a recommendation on how to proceed, and then we can look at it and ask questions and actually understand what we're looking at.
So we will do an evaluation, bring you the top three.
You guys good with that? Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion on this item?
How soon?
How soon?
How soon
How
do you get the
soon
three?
would you want to expect it?
Can we have it next week, Tuesday?
I'm not sure we could do it that quick when Scott's a little distracted.
Wednesday?
Wednesday in June or
No. We'd like it as soon as is practical. I think when we discussed this the last time, we were trying to get simultaneous bringing the RFP process and their research together with the formation of the group that's going to take action on what we need to be doing as far as next steps. So we kind of need all of that info together. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. All right, item D is a discussion on issues to be reviewed regarding the regulation of accessory apartments. Okay.
Okay, a few weeks ago, we had a discussion and reviewed the packet of information on accessory apartments, and agreed to come back with a list of identified issues that we may want to discuss further. The take back from that meeting was that the council was interested in providing a way to permit or allow permitted accessory apartments in Pleasant Grove. And from there, we wanted to talk about how we might regulate those. So we understand this is going to be a process of review. And so therefore, we have determined to create this list of potential issues. And so what I would recommend as we go through these is just to determine, is this an issue that warrants further discussion? And if so, then let's see, I guess we can decide how to go forward at a future date with it. But if we decide no, it doesn't warrant further discussion, we need to decide, well, does that mean that we're okay, this is the type of regulation we want, but we just don't need to discuss it any further? Or no, that we don't feel this is appropriate, it doesn't belong on our list of potential regulations.
So when you ask the question about providing potential issues that we've heard, they're the same issues that we've heard and other councils have heard.
Right.
And councils before them have heard, and planning commissions for decades.
Right.
We presented the information. So I think that since we're getting ready to take action on this, we just want to make sure that those issues are adequately pulled out from all of that research and the answer to them are included. And then if we're okay and agree that that item is adequately covered, then we're done. If we're not, then that's one of those items we need to discuss. Did I just say the same thing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think rather than getting caught up in what that issue is and let's start fleshing it out tonight, there's a fairly lengthy list here, almost 30 items, that we hold off on having discussion what that issue is particularly, but is it just an issue that we need to address further, and then we will address it further at a future meeting.
Okay. Do you want us to go through it?
Yeah. I don't know if you want to read them or if you want me to read them.
Okay, changing the character of a single family neighborhood. I've heard that multiple times. And I think that we need to just make sure that we pull from the notes what the answer was that addressed that issue. So, to me, it's kind of binary. Either it is or it isn't. Changing property values. We've heard that complaint quite a bit. It goes with the first one, another binary kind of thing. I think realtors will tell us your house will sell for more if you have an accessory apartment. Increased utility usage, that looks like an abbreviation, right? From some of the notes that we submitted.
Yeah, without further definition.
Already paid, don't need to install a second meter or anything like that. Do you guys agree?
Well, I was just gonna say, I was kind of questioning if I can. When you say increased utility usage, are you referring to the concern that Councilmember Newcomb had brought up about the fact that doubling the density could mean that our infrastructure, which was designed for certain
It could
density,
include that, yes.
may not be sufficient? So
I think there was another one that was leaning towards that. I just took comments that I received from various people and put them on here. I didn't put the whole paragraph. I was trying to put a bullet point next to it.
Well, that's what he was saying, though. If it's existing infrastructure, you put in double the density of accessory apartments. You just asked the question, are we still okay? Are sewer pipes and water pipes big enough to handle that increased density? That was his question. Maybe just need to say that.
Maybe I'll put a / service provision after the usage.
Okay, increased crime. I just don't see it as, just put the answer down and Okay, increase emergency services, that one I think is actually real. I think at least on the ambulance side, we have a mechanism of recapturing cost. What about on the fire side? Do we have a method of recapturing cost there? How about on the police side? Is there a method of recapturing cost? No. Mike? No? So that's one we probably ought to discuss. The increased demand on parks and recreation. Most of the programs that we have are fee-based. And I think that if they show up and want to increase that usage, there's a fee associated with doing that. And if not, there should be. So, right? So I think that one's kind of taken care of as well. Agree or disagree? Increased consumer spending in our city with no additional construction impact. That's actually a throw. Increased road use. That's valid. Do we have a mechanism of recapturing costs to take care of that increased road usage? So there's one that we need to look at. Increased use on schools. I think that is handled by the state. I'm not aware that the city has any additional expense involved in that. Okay. You want to scroll down, Ken? Sorry. Okay, so some of these I don't think are items that I said. If one of you submitted.
Some of these would be from others who submitted, but also some are that we had on our list of issues that was in your packet.
So the impact, any impact fee should be paid. So impact fees in what respect is that?
So that could be roads and parks and all those things are yeah. When we have new construction, should we, if it's being proposed to have an accessory apartment, do we have a separate or an increased fee based on an additional unit?
So that would not be anyone currently existing.
No, it would be new development.
So along with the comment that Jay has made, what is the impact to the current infrastructure? And if it's not going to be adequate, then when you build a new one, you got to make sure that it is adequate. Mm-hmm. So if anything, the fee would be like putting in the proper service for that particular unit.
So I'm not saying whether or not we should charge an impact fee. I'm not quite clear why we would not charge an impact fee for existing apartments that would be permitted now. We know we have a number of them out there that shouldn't exist. But if we do make it possible for them to exist, then why would we not assess impact fees against those units that have been created outside of ordinance?
So one by one, what are the impact fees? Road?
Fire safety, water, sewer.
Okay. So in each case, you can answer the question of whether or not there's a corresponding charge somewhere that already takes care of it, or if there's a need because of the additional impact to charge an additional fee.
Yeah,
but to just charge a fee would be inappropriate. You charge fees because there's a need to charge.
As I'm looking at it, saying if someone has created an apartment, has had one for 10 years, they weren't legally allowed to create it, there has been, if we decide that additional unit does create an impact, why did that additional unit, even though it was created 10 years ago, not have an impact on the city that had not been otherwise?
That would need to be evaluated, right? Wouldn't you do that on a case-by-case basis?
Well, it sounded to me like the council was saying, well, but if it's already existing, it's only new construction.
I think we would have a little bit of a difficulty in assessing impact fees for unexisting apartments because of the type regulations about how you can assess them, what can go into the calculation of fee calculation, and that they can only be used for the
and try to quantify that. So that's something, if you're interested in doing, you could certainly have, look at that, or some other impact advisors. Okay, I think was it some ground there, constitution, given the impact of challenges that
I would, without doing a deep dive, which I think was what you were trying to hold, sounds like we need to discuss this one.
Right.
Okay.
I'll just add a comment to what's been said already on that one, is that falls into the line of number 13 that we're coming up on, is the impact of too much regulation on existing units. If we were to start charging an impact fee of whoever knows how much, but substantial possibly, of an existing homeowner that doesn't have the means, capability to pay that kind of a fee. Yeah, so we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot with regulation if we try to do that.
If it's owner occupied, then the owner has already been.
So, and that could apply to a home that already exists, because if you're gonna come in and do construction to add, the apartment, you're gonna go through the permitting process. Depending upon what the demand is, there may be an impact.
Right.
So,
We don't charge impact fees for renovation.
what if it's for this purpose? What if it's specifically for this purpose?
You have to go through that process.
Okay.
I was trying to highlight that there seems a little bit of a disconnect there. Those have been illegally created now, and those have been legally created. Why would the illegal one be awarded with not having to pay a new one?
Okay, Ken, let's just bring that back and we'll discuss that
Well, maybe there's two categories here. Maybe there's existing and maybe there's new construction. On most of these.
one. Might end up. Okay, costs of enforcement and new personnel. I think that's kind of part of the discussion about like where is the hit, and what is the current mechanism for recapturing that cost. And if there isn't one, and there's definitely a hit, then we need to figure out what that method of recapturing that cost is. And absolutely, there's a point where, yeah, you can create a law, but sometimes you just can't enforce it, so. Older existing situations, compliance with new regulations and building codes. I think Tina had mentioned that if we go down that path, we end up with grandfathering in.
Correct, there will be some number of existing apartments that would be eligible to claim the non-conforming use. That would probably not be universal.
Right. There was a date that you gave us last time.
There's this period of time between 1963 and 1985 or something like that, where they were permitted to use. So anyone who had established an accessory apartment during that period of time and has continuously used it as an accessory apartment and established it legally at the time in terms of building code and everything would be eligible to apply for non-conforming.
Do we have those records?
Ken indicates that those are kind of sketchy. In the past, we've been able to use records that the county has as well as what the city has in order to do that, to get a zoning verification. But I think the other question that goes along with this is you will have some existing situations. For example, if council decides to require duplicate or separate meters, then you're going to have existing situations that don't have those double meters, and you're going to have to put that separate meter in. And what is that going to cost them? And is that something the council wants to make sure that they do? There's an opportunity to just say amnesty for everybody that is.
But isn't that somewhat directly related to impact? I mean, the reason that separate system would need to be installed or serviced, whatever it is because there's an impact and the current system cannot support it. So you need to have another service or
I don't know
something.
necessarily, I think the having separate tracking of utilities is, the idea was brought up a couple weeks ago. Should the city receive an additional utility fee if there's an accessory apartment?
Is there an additional cost?
I don't know. To me, it's more, I think, philosophical. If the idea of these being accessory uses in a single family zone, I don't know why there would be a huge change in demand from if the home was being fully occupied by a family. I'm not really, I don't think, in the camp of saying provide separate services. I think that starts moving more towards the duplex idea.
So just to be clear, I mean, I think we're trying to get on a path of how do we safely help make this a reality
One
without
area,
unduly regulating or putting extra cost and burden, and recapturing just what's needed because we have real costs.
yeah, I think the one area that you would want to have in an existing situation is it's unlikely that they got a building permit and said, I'm gonna build another apartment in my basement and come and make sure that I've done everything correctly. What I think we want to do is say, if you have an existing situation that is now becoming legal, we want Dave and Brad to do some inspections. We do repentance building permits. Some people think that
I think it was
spend
called
whatever.
amnesty.
And they can't look at everything, but there are things that you can evaluate. Maybe in certain situations you have to remove a little sheetrock to check that some things were done correctly. But there are ways of evaluating an existing situation. If you come in and there are no GFI outlets with this current code, I think that's an easy thing to say. Look, if you're gonna legitimately have this an accessory apartment, you need to install the following things that can bring you much closer to the current code.
That goes into the next item, requirements for life safety issues.
So yes, we need requirements for life safety issues. Let me just back away from the list for a second. Wasn't part of what we were doing making sure that we have the items necessary to send this back for research with the planning commission? I mean, I don't remember it going to be detailed discussed at this level. It was.
You're right.
Right?
It was to go to
We were gonna
planning
send it
commission
back
first.
and ask planning commission to look at the GFI and look at what should it be for inspection? Is there an impact? What should that
So
process?
tonight's purpose was mostly just to make sure you felt comfortable with the list of issues that we're going to send to the planning commission.
Thank you. Yeah, life safety, absolutely. Conditional use approval versus permitted use.
My concern with that is the conditional use permit is approved at the planning commission level. And if we have 379 existing apartments that want to apply for approval through conditional use permit, we're really going to stack up the agenda for the planning commission. I don't know, maybe that's not a sufficient reason not to do it, but was that?
One has had what, 20?
I guess I'm
So I don't
in
think there's gonna be a
favor
rush.
of just establishing the process and putting it out there so that people have a path that's reasonable and affordable.
Permitted with criteria.
And the criteria, right. You guys in agreement with that? Permit registration fee, only if necessary because we're somehow incurring
Administration.
costs for inspections and things like that. More than one apartment allowed if conditions permit. I think there are people who have had individual rooms rented out to individual people. And they live together as like a commune and they're not related. Shared kitchen, 5 people, 5 bedrooms.
And that would be a different category.
Yeah,
It
a totally
would-
different category. So I'm not really sure.
But I have been made aware, I don't know the address, but I've been made aware of one home at least in Pleasant Grove that has 2 or 3 separate accessory apartments in their basement.
Yeah, I don't think that's what we're.
So I guess what we were saying is if the lot is big enough, there's plenty of parking availability, should we allow more than one?
Now you're really changing.
Yes.
Right.
I would say no and send that one back for a brain trust to say yes or no. Okay, detached structures permitted.
So you have a detached garage and you have an apartment above it.
That would be in a situation like that.
Or pool house.
But you would still, for that size of the garage, you
Never
would
watched
actually
White
have so many square feet on your lot size.
Oh yeah, in order to have a detached garage, you've got to have enough room for it and meet the setbacks and everything. So it would otherwise be regulated. It's just, is there a concern if the apartment isn't actually within the main structure on the lot? Or is it okay to have it in a separate structure?
I'm aware of existing homes that have mother-in-law apartments, or what they call mother-in-law apartments, upstairs in a detached garage. And they have kitchens and everything. And then those people came forward to apply for bed and breakfast. And I think that you know, that use itself may need to be more in the commercial zone or the business zone, but I don't see why you couldn't have an apartment that's actually above a garage or a detached building on the property, as long as, you know, the rest of the health safety issues are met. Adequate property, off-street parking, all of that.
Does it need to be part of what we were discussing in the garage? I can think of at least one situation where I would expect if that was permitted, an existing home, very small existing home could be declared an accessory structure to a new structure being built. So
Yeah, I could see that
I
happening.
can see where there might be some things that we're not expecting. We're talking about a garage, and yeah, I've got a bonus room above the garage, but that's finished out as a small studio apartment.
The next thing that'll happen is people come in and request.
No, I have a guest, we have lots of guest homes, so.
If we're leading this towards construction requires permitting and review for health, safety and everything, then it's also conditional use. Then the planning commission will be reviewing them. So there's a lot of requirements just with construction that need to be met. Distances from property lines. I guess I don't.
Those are all things you have to add.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to bring up, are there some unintended things that we're discussing a particular type of detached apartment? There may be some that we don't want.
The reality is we're not going to get this right the first time. We're the first ones that are going to approve it, and we're not going to get it right. And the next group's going to have to fix what we did that's wrong. And over the next 20 years, it'll all get revised. And it'll start being better.
Hallelujah.
Okay, next.
Whether or not a minimum lot size should be required.
Can you scroll?
Oh, sorry. So are there lots that are just simply too small, like in the R17 zone, 7,000 square foot, that we wouldn't want
inside the house? I mean, those are all meeting those same kind of.
as long as they're meeting setbacks and parking and everything else?
Owner occupied requirement, I think we said yes, absolutely on that. Amount of off-street parking, I think we have, do we have existing ordinance for that one?
Well, we currently require 2 off-street plus a garage for a single-family home. So total of 4 parking spaces.
Except, you know, so.
So the proposal previously has been that for an accessory apartment, then 2 additional parking stalls would be required.
And I think that whatever that should be is great, but I'm thinking of a couple of streets by 400 East, back behind Maverick, where the streets are very narrow and the homes are close together. You probably don't have enough room to put more cars on the street. That's what I remember from 8-10 years ago. So through a conditional use permit, looking at the off-street parking situation, it's going to kind of have to dictate whether or not they can really accomplish an accessory.
Okay. I think you're bringing up something that maybe should have been listed here is how to handle those existing situations that may not be able to fully comply with whatever regulations we come up with if we want to allow for some ability through conditional use to waive certain requirements.
So perhaps that could be a discussion. the concern would be making sure that there's adequate street, right? Because they've got to be able to drive through there.
Well, and I would rather not also have a yard just be, a front yard just be concrete parking pad.
We don't allow that right now.
Right.
Well, but if it comes down to it, where you have to have off-street parking, then what are the options?
Right.
I think we're gonna go down that road, Ken. I think that's a good response. Because each one of those existing illegal, non-conforming units is going to have to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. And you're just gonna create a nightmare for whoever has to review those and come up with suggestions.
So I'm thinking there's also another nightmare on the other side where we say, this is the threshold and you've got to meet it or you can't have an apartment. And you're having 129 apartments that are existing that just can't meet it. Then we're going to tell them no.
Then they don't have legal apartments. That's the enforcement side of it.
I'm just saying, we'll hear
Some
about
of this
that.
is going to be self-regulating, right? I mean, if you have a street that's only so wide, and by the time you park the car on either side, there's only one lane, there's no other place to park. And so the answer is no. Okay, owner occupied, yes, off-street parking, separate entrance for each unit. What do you guys think on the separate entrance? Is that something we should discuss? I don't
know how they get into it.
No. But there are weren't there some requirements for
But
locking
safety,
and
or, I mean, a
privacy?
safety.
Yeah, I think as far as safety is concerned, it would be good to have a separate, if you have an accessory apartment, a separate entrance into that for emergency services.
That's true.
Yeah.
Middle of the night, yeah. Okay.
Limiting the unit size of percent of the home.
Okay.
I don't know why you would. Okay, limiting the number of bedrooms. Person, no. Living areas that are required.
So requiring that we have a bathroom, a kitchen, a living area, instead of just saying, here's your studio and do what you want.
I guess I don't see
Okay.
that as.
Wouldn't you want to require bathrooms?
Yeah, it's not a living room.
Yeah, so I.
Maybe at a minimum, a kitchen and a bathroom.
A library and observatory.
Yeah.
Observatory for the bathroom. The utility meters, I think we kind of addressed that one up earlier. Interior access between the dwelling units, no. That was one that we discussed where there needs to be some safety, privacy, and have a separate.
Yeah, I think as long as you have a separate entrance, then that may not be necessary.
And are there any other issues that we think need to be placed on the list?
Can we
Ken, did we give you what you were looking for?
I think so, yes. We will proceed with reviewing these items at the planning commission level, and eventually we'll come back to you.
And it's going to go through a public hearing process, right?
Well, I think initially it'll be, unless you feel we should do otherwise, then we'll just have discussions with the planning commission to try to hone down certain issues. Right, and when we have an ordinance that we think addresses these well, we'll have a public hearing.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Ken. A lot of work.
And will be, so thank you again. Okay, the April 21st meeting agenda.
We have the session process with Bill.
Oh, I missed that.
The letter. 11 now.
I crossed off the wrong one, I'm sorry. A discussion on the process to fill the council member vacancy.
We have a council member vacancy subsequent to council member Meekin's resignation, which is pending earlier this week. I sent an email out to the mayor and council advising them of the process. So just for the public's information, the process is governed by the election code, which is found in Utah Code annotated 20A-1-510 and also 10302.
And any individual considered for appointment must meet the requirements of 10.3.301 to hold municipal office. So they have to be the same qualifications you have for running for office. You have to have those same qualifications to be appointed. They're not different.
You can't be a felon, right?
Right, you have to have lived in the city for 365 days, that kind of stuff. The vacancy is filled by appointment of the council, and the appointment lasts only until the January following the next municipal election. So in this instance, it would only last to the end of this year because Councilmember Meekin's term was up this year. So it would be from May through December 31st, whoever this will be. The city is required to give at least 2 weeks' notice to the public that the vacancy exists and invite those interested to apply for the position. And then the city reporter is responsible to make sure that the notice to the public contains certain details. And those details include the date, time, and place of the meeting when the appointment will be made, who to submit the application to or the letter of interest to, and the deadline for submission. And then the council may interview interested persons if they choose, and the interview should be held in a public meeting. If the council wishes to discuss the competency of any of the individuals to perform the duties of the office, that discussion may take place in an executive session. The executive session is not designed or is not to be used to reach consensus, but rather to just discuss specific concerns about specific individuals. That's it. Otherwise, the actual motion and the vote must be done in a public meeting. The mayor does not vote on this unless in case of a tie. And the interesting thing is that if no individual receives a majority vote, then the selection is by lot. And we have had council members fill midterm vacancies before by having their names on them.
Was that in PG? I know there was a mayor, I think, appointed in one of the cities by the flip of a coin.
Yeah.
And that was recent.
So we have had that happen before. And this information is mostly just for the council, this particular paragraph, but it's suggested by the Utah League of Cities and Towns that the voting should take place in the following manner. The names of the candidates should be listed in a random order and presented to the mayor, by the mayor to the council for a vote. The first candidate to get a majority, i.e. the first candidate to get 3 votes of the individual selected to fill the vacancy. It's supposed to be a very open process and objective, and that's one way to make sure that happens. So the timing for us would be if we got the notice out sometime this week, we might be able to fill the position by I think Tuesday, May 12th is more realistic, given the whole 2 weeks notice. But if we hurry, we could try for May 5th.
Let me just check, Kathy, will you be able to get it in the paper for, was it tomorrow, Wednesday? Or we gotta wait to see where we were? Did we miss the deadline then for tomorrow? I guess so. And then Thursday or Saturday? Okay. So, you guys okay with that? We go ahead and start advertising. And simultaneous, let's get it on the website, put it in the newsletter, and whatever else we need to do so that people have an opportunity to apply for the position. And then include the requirements and the process in the notice that we put out.
If she can get it in by the 18th of April, if she can get it in by Saturday, then the 2 weeks would be May the 2nd, so we could consider it on May the 5th if you choose.
So at that point, we need to discuss if we're going to be doing interviews. How does the council feel about interviews?
For the council position?
Yes.
I think we should let people present and ask them a handful of questions. We gotta keep it to, it really just depends on the applicant we have, but I don't want to go forever. I think we should certainly let everybody that wants to apply present, and open council meeting and ask them a handful of questions, or anything that's really urgent questions, and cover in their own introduction.
Okay. Everybody okay with that? So they would be public interviews, part of city council meetings, and the earliest we can do that would be May 5th.
I would only give you 3 days between the deadline, the closing deadline, and so I'm assuming that that would be a problem. Between the closing deadline and the day you would make the decision.
So the closing deadline is the 2nd. So they apply. The applications are circulated to the council. On the 5th, the applicants come in and present. And then if you have concerns about competency or any of those qualifications, we could hold an executive session to discuss that, not to reach consensus on which candidate to appoint.
But can that be done beforehand, Mayor, where the qualifications are screened out? Because if somebody applies and actually not qualified, can that be screened out by you and Scott, or you and Scott do that beforehand?
We can do the basic ones, which
Yeah.
would be, are they a US citizen, have they lived in the city for 365 days, felon, registered voter, those things can be, what did you say? Felon. I don't know how one we can check that out. Is it possible that, Mike, is it possible to check that? Yes? Okay. Oh, that's good. So as long as all the basic criteria is met, yeah, we can do that. Okay, so interviews on the 5th. If needed, an executive session. And then we would come back here, and the recommended method for selection from the Utah League of Cities and Towns is all the names that are qualified go into a hat. You pull a name out. You take a vote. Yeah, the first person that gets the majority vote wins, and they become the next council person to fill the term.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to put them in a hat, it just says to give them to you in a random way. So if you want to do pull out a hat, you can, or I guess have them listed on the case.
Just make sure for the list of these who already got it. If your last name starts with a C, then it's number 12.
Can you do that? That would be good, Kathy. Can you do that?
I'm curious if there's some procedure where we could do a series of votes of some, candidates. I don't know how that would play out, but I mean, it seems crazy to me to go to
The ordinance, state ordinance is very clear on that. It outlines the method.
If no one gets 3 votes, then you go by the lot method too. Or if you can't make a decision within 30 days, then the lot method goes.
So it's really, it's up or down, or it's a lot. No, you get to look everyone in the eye and raise your hand or not.
Vote for a different person, we don't eliminate the ones that got no votes and re-vote or anything like that. We just go straight to a random lot. Amongst those that got a vote, or amongst everybody.
Everybody, first person that gets 3 votes, and if you don't solve it that way, it's random.
So we're not allowed to make consensus and. Got it.
May 2nd is a Saturday.
Oh, well, yeah, that's just the deadline for submitting.
That means on Monday,
Maybe May 1st.
all applications have to be verified that they're a citizen, they live in
Just
the
making sure
felony
we knew that
thing,
that was a Saturday.
circulated to the council, and then the next night. Any other discussion on this item? Okay, let's go on to a discussion of the items for the April 21st meeting. So we're, yes, D was postponed because Scott is wife is having a baby. Thanks. Got that one right. There have been others that I didn't say. So. Call to order, pledge, opening remarks, approval of the agenda, open session, consent items, boards and commissions. Okay, on the 7th, I'm hoping that we can present, and I'm hoping that we will have interviewed and can present names for the planning commission. Okay,
We only need one.
okay, so that's me setting up appointments with the ones that are suggested. All right. Were there any other things that we're still waiting on 2 neighborhood chairs? And at this point, we don't have applications because when we gave it to them, they kind of disappeared at that point. They've been going out. So have we created a process that is discouraging people from applying because of the application?
I don't think so, but I talked to you about that and, I mean, to submit a name, you know, you can submit a name, but then they're gonna send them a form that says, why do you wanna do this? And they don't even have a clue.
They're being asked to volunteer. The original ordinance for this we've read before, and when it was functioning, I remember Libby and I were in a meeting. It was all handled within the neighborhood committee. You have the existing chair, vice chair, and secretary. And then the neighborhood would come together for a meeting. Nominations would be made from,
You don't get anybody.
right, it's died basically. The meetings and the people
So it's
volunteering.
just been giving you names,
Right.
or the mayor, and they get called in and interviewed.
So,
I've had some people call me, but it's not for the neighborhoods I need.
And what neighborhoods were they?
Monkey Town and Stringtown.
we did ask for, I think in the past we've asked for recommendations from.
Oh, no, I have a Monkey Town, excuse me. I just need Stringtown.
Just Stringtown?
Yeah.
And is there, because I saw in the last newsletter, but is there,
And it just said, if you want to, and I got a call, but it's Stringtown.
and is there like a small write-up or something that we can put to have advertised specific time commitment, what they'd be asked to do? Is that something you could send me through email? That'd be great, Libby, because then I can, we have a whole list of things that we need help with, as far as committees, we can find out as well. So then they do some other duties, like they help with the Heritage Jubilee and it's on, I mean, just, you get a little bit more detail about.
Yeah, I'll
that would be
give
great.
it an email.
Okay. So if I'm derelict in bringing forth a name for approval on one of those neighborhoods, then maybe you could remind me afterward.
I will in about a week. Okay.
Okay.
And then what is it, I have a planning commissioner?
And we have one interview Thursday at 9 a.m. And then the other ones that were submitted, we have not set up interviews yet. So I'm going to meet with the one person, hopefully on next week's agenda, we'll have a date to submit. So we can ask them to review. And I think you already have the application. It's in your inbox. Okay. We'll have a discussion or presentation on bike and park design, presentation and proposal.
Yeah, so we'll be convening a multi-use trail system. Bike park on the Shoreline Trail, it's quite an intensive proposal. We'll have the high school bicycle, or mountain bike coach will be here also to do a little bit of a presentation. And mostly it's just to, proposal is to move forward with design of this facility. So it'll be a three-phase type, four-phase proposal, and we'll be discussing it.
So at that point, you'll have some
Yes,
preliminary drawings.
we'll have costs on your drawings, funding options, those types of things.
Anything else on that? Budget wise, is that going to be a budget item or?
No.
Part of the budget? Any questions? All right, 9, action items ready for vote. To consider the request of Josh Wynn with Georgetown Development for a 68 lot mixed housing development preliminary plat called Garden Grove, located at approximately 15 south, 1300 west in the Grove zone. This is the one we last week adjusted the setbacks for. So we've done the adjustments to setbacks on item 9A.
Right, one of the things we were talking about is, this item was, continued at the planning commission level, so it's going to be continued.
So this is gonna come off the agenda then? If you do that now, we don't have to act on it next week.
So to
So
the
that's
28th.
28. Okay. All right.
And Kathy, on the verbiage of 9A, somehow we got the preliminary plat here, it's the same one.
All right, 9B, consider the request of Josh Wynn with Georgetown Development for a 68 lot mixed housing development site plan and phasing plan called Garden Grove, located at the same address.
Yeah, so that's A and B. We had to continue both.
Okay, and then 9C, consider for adoption resolution 2015-010 authorizing the Pleasant Grove City Parks and Rec Department Director to submit application for the 2015 Utah County Commission Municipal Recreation Grant for improvements to be made to the recreational facilities throughout the city and providing for an effective date. This is one you've done every year.
Yes, and this is where our primary funding comes, so that design will come.
Okay.
Is there a reason why we have to authorize that?
It's something the county requires us to do.
Because you have a standing authorization to go after grants whenever you want.
We can make them available.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Item 10A is an action items with public discussion, public hearing to consider for adoption ordinance 2015-15, enacting section 3-3E of Pleasant Grove City Code, adopting a franchise fee upon the city utilities for use of city streets, establishing the maximum rate and other related matters and providing for an effective date. That's what
So
we
we
just
talked about this a
reviewed.
couple of times, we just sit down.
Okay.
The idea is right now, general fund does not pay city utilities for the utilities they use, nor does the general fund charge the utilities a franchise fee, which they pay. So we're being required now to have the general fund pay our utility funds for the cost of those utilities. So essentially charge that franchise back. We won't charge as much as we could, we're just gonna charge them that equivalent to, so that everybody stays whole.
Okay.
That's the whole intent of that. So it wouldn't affect rates, wouldn't affect really anything that allows us to keep these.
But during the audit, it allows the audit firm and the state to see that we charge for those
I'm not going to be there.
Actually, that's, I'm not gonna be here. And I will do a good job. Just leave that little candy cane thing with the flowers on it. Send me another. Yeah. Okay, B, 10B, public hearing to consider for adoption an ordinance 2015-16, amending the Pleasant Grove City Municipal Code, section 10-14-21-1-C, permitted and conditional uses to allow reception centers in the Grove Zone Commercial Sales Subdistrict.
This item was also continued by the planning commission at their last meeting, so we need to continue this one.
This isn't for anything that we're having a celebration on this week.
No, there was actually 2 requests that came forward from this applicant. Oh, well, okay, yeah, no, what you're referring to, I must say, we do have a bit of concern with.
Okay.
Because they are having an open house to celebrate the use of their event center, for which they have not yet received permission to have. That's what their request here is. So it's a little bit of the cart before the horse.
Does this have anything to do with the ribbon cutting of the building?
The ribbon cutting of the building is fine. It's just if they're celebrating an open house for their event center, that is not something that was yet permitted. So we'll see.
But there's no, what's the word? There's no law against them having a celebration.
No, we're
They just
fine.
may
It's
not
just,
be able to use it if they don't get approved.
so that you also know, they had 2 requests coming forward. This one that you're seeing here, that will allow them to continue, if it's approved, to continue to use it as an event center and hold receptions and whatnot. That one is in the pipeline. The other request that they came forward to the planning commission on this last meeting and was approved was a specific special event conditional use permit for a reception that they have already scheduled for one of the company's daughters. So they're really moving forward in this whole idea of holding receptions there. And so we found a section of the code that would allow for a special event, special use permit. So they did get permission for one reception in May. But to continue on in that reception.
Thank you for accommodating. Any further discussion on that? Okay, public hearing, item 10C, a public hearing to consider for adoption of ordinance 2015-17 to rezone approximately 5.56 acres by applying the residential agricultural overlay to properties at approximately 4145 north and 4097 north, 900 west in the RR zone.
This one is not new.
Hey.
So we have some properties up in the northern end of the community that they have an established agricultural use. They would like to continue to increase that and to be able to build a taller barn than what is otherwise permitted in that zone, but would be permitted under rural agricultural overlay. So they have requested this, and that's come forward with positive recommendations.
Any questions? All right. The next section is items for discussion with no action. 4,000 North Sewer discussion and action.
I was just emailing Kathy to fix that.
So should it say no action or does it go under 10?
I think we'll move it to 10 there because I believe that, and I don't know if it's public discussion or if it goes up to 9.
Well, when you figure that out, notify
It'll
us.
move somewhere.
Okay.
It's not a public hearing, so.
Is the council aware of what this one is? Okay, okay, just checking. I've asked for this to come forward and ask for all of the information, background, history, any agreements that have been made, records of payments, estimated costs, the whole 9 yards, and we're looking for an up or down vote on whether the city council is going to approve it or not. Okay?
And one detail that I'd like to make sure we get is historical procedures with other related sewers. You know, what do we do with sewers in every different context across the
And
city?
I think we're gathering that information.
I think Scott has assembled a binder, so I think he's ready with that information. Thank you. Okay, and then a discussion on Cedar Hill's letter regarding 100 East. I'm not aware of the letter.
This is what we're gonna have today.
It's moved.
That's what we're talking about. Is
Well, it was on tonight's agenda.
right.
Okay.
He has not communicated.
So we don't know yet what the content of the letter is. Okay, just so the council is aware, we have met with the commission again, asking the county commission to, because they now own 100 East. Ownership was transferred from the state to the county. The county, a long time ago, committed that if they took ownership of the road, they would only maintain it to county standards, which we understand. Then there was a dollar amount, Dagan was in the same, there was a dollar amount that was submitted for with the county and with the state and MAG to apply repairs and treatments to this road. The county had proposed doing, was it 5 million? And we were asking them to take the other 5 million from MAG and apply it as well. So in that meeting, what we asked the county to do is take the 5 million, accept it, and that would actually improve the road to a better condition for all citizens that are using it, and reduce what we needed to do in the future to maintain it. And we were going to go back to cities and identify what help we could offer the county in maintenance of the road in discussion with the county public works director to kind of alleviate some of our costs going forward. So we thought it was a good trade-off. And so perhaps this letter from Cedar Hill is in relationship to that particular. Both cities have to agree to pick up some of that maintenance in order for the county to accept the 5 million and apply it to the road project that is going to be delayed now because we're well into the season.
And the maintenance of our portion of the road comes out of that 5 million?
Maintenance is going to be the county's maintenance, but we're looking at things that we can do to assist, like we own snowplows. They don't, so many don't part of the county. We can snowplow. That's one thing.
Stops
Exactly. And we're supposed to meet with the county public works person to identify what those items are, so that they can see that it's a fair win-win for everybody involved.
So we've got figures that will show how much it's going to cost.
Well, we need to have a conversation, staff to staff, talk about it. The mayor of Cedar Hill seemed very open to that idea. We still have mayor's council that needs to come up with that. Scott presented in the meeting that our council previously been willing to accept the road. So we felt in representing you that you would agree to do some of these minor maintenance items. The idea was the county would still keep the major items, need to be overlaid in those 10 years. They would handle things like that. But the day-to-day operational things, so they don't have anybody here.
Right, mobilization.
So we don't know the content of this particular letter, but because that's been the discussion, I imagine it's directly related. Okay. Any other? All right. So items 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 go for that meeting. We don't have to discuss those tonight. 19, Libby, anything additional? Okay. Cam? Nothing? Yeah.
Our baseball opener this weekend, Saturday, park at 4 p.m. And our soccer, spring soccer season program this year is starting also. And I need to apologize to Diana for not speaking very well yesterday. She pulled out the mood.
Oh, stop.
I was not in a good mood yesterday, so it was pretty evident.
Did she harass you?
No,
No.
he was very himself and I was very okay with that. Yeah, you don't need to apologize.
Had a major water leak and I couldn't get the valve turned off. Upsetting.
Thank you, Juan.
If it's a noun and you put holy in front of it, it's okay.
Okay. We won't get into acronyms. Okay. Lynn? Okay. Dave? Mike? Sherry?
Yes. So we have a library fund that we've talked about before that's from the donations. And I've talked to you about putting that into the budget for next budget year so that I can spend it. I'd like to order book bins for the children's area. And I would like to get that order going because it'll take into the next budget year before it's complete. So just needed to run that past you, spending the money that would go, the money that would go in next year's.
Anticipated
being next year's budget.
That's exactly what the money was done for. The money's already there. And anybody have a problem with this? No. Yeah, I think we should just do it. And then the elevator, was there a matching part to the grant that we needed to come up with?
Yes, I believe that.
It's in
the budget.
Excellent. Do you know approximately when this will?
I've got a meeting on May 5th, I think it is, to get the information on it. The money is allocated for next budget for them also, so I can't do anything about it until July. We'll survive for a few more months.
Sherry, the people at the evaluation, they were very complimentary of the presentation.
Oh.
They were extremely, they even made a big deal out of it. So,
thank you.
So, Tina?
Just to report, I attended the Utah League of Cities and Towns spring conference last week and got a lot of good information. And I'll prepare a little short summary and send it out by email.
Thank you. Kathy? Diane?
Yes, I also attended and it was kind of interesting. Last year I ran newly elected and my head exploded and I realized that I didn't know anything. This year I went and my head exploded and because I'm just getting a glimpse of what I don't know. But, I learned so much. Just one thing in particular that probably, well, there were so many things that stood out, but St. George is, and they have 100, they have 52 weeks out of the year. But their revenue on events that are held in their parks will reach 20 million this year. And so I want more parties, I want more events.
Are we talking about like when they bring down competition and stuff?
When they bring down any event in a park, they calculate the economic impact.
Hotel rentals, the sales on food.
20 million. They're actually opening 20 new parks this year because it's working so well for them. So I walked out there actually very fast. Anyways, I enjoyed it completely and I did want to say one thing.
One of the classes that I went to talked about how information, for example, in a police situation, how information, sometimes they hold on to it and therefore council knows nothing. For example, in Ogden, we have a guy who built a fort in his front lawn. I don't know if anybody's read that. And how the whole state obviously is up and on about this structure that went up and didn't have an engineering stamp.
It's cardboard.
It's cardboard. And it's not there right now. Right now, it is blown to. Anyway, last year, this week was the day that some guys in public safety found 7 babies in a garage. And I reflected on how that we got information, this is what's happening. I think we were all contacted within 24 hours from reporters all over the nation. But I was so grateful for that text that said, this is the press release that's going to be going operational. And so, thank you, guys.
Yeah, and I think that's true for the fire department as well. Both of your departments are very good at notifying the council when there is some kind of an emergency affecting people in the city. That's much appreciated. Especially when they get my address as the location for a standoff.
I'm thinking that's Mayor Mike's neighborhood.
There was a brief discussion about the planning commission vacancies. I have spoken to a number of residents who expressed interest. Is there a deadline that you'd like to get those applications so I can communicate that to them?
This is going to be a constant thing. So we're going to interview this person Thursday, which you already have the applications for. The sooner you can get the applications in, then we can set up interviews. I'm going to be gone next week. But the hope is that we can get at least this one interviewed. If they're qualified, then we'll submit that to the council for approval, so that person can start serving as an alternate. And we just see, over the course of the years, there's a couple every year that, for whatever reason, rotate out. So I think there's plenty of opportunity. Anything else? Sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to form a committee to review our website. What I'm thinking is, anyone from staff or council, obviously we can't have more than 2 residents, anyone who wants to be involved, but we would meet weekly with Trent Bowen, about 2 hours a week, designated time, place, on a weekly basis. And this is to just make it more user-friendly. Go through, see what's outdated. When we got to each department, we would ask you to come in during that time and go through, so we'd have a resident perspective, council perspective about how the website is working, if it's outdated information, what you want on there. So anyway, I just wanted to see if the council was okay with moving forward with getting that.
I think that's a great idea.
I think we have some citizens actually.
Would you be volunteering them to have that committee? Okay. That'd be great. So yes, I guess the next thing would be
Advertise
bring the names and then we present and form the committee. Thank you.
I would think at some point we would need to evaluate if there are costs associated with that.
Well, there is, we do pay Trent hourly with a cap on how much we pay him. I talked to Scott about it, and he said that if we met about 2 hours a week, that would be within the budget that we could work with him on a weekly basis on that.
So you are going for user friendliness, right?
User friendly.
Okay. Are you also looking at like all the access to the documents and the applications and all?
Yep.
Great.
We kind of go like step by step, just making it, kind of freshen it up, making it user friendly, navigation wise. So we want the different perspectives and, the resident maybe not get on every single day, but when they're trying to find something, how easy. So that's like one of the different like 2 click maps. Yeah, 2 right now I think we're 6 clicks. Yeah. So and reviewing other city websites, see what we like, see what we don't like. So Trent would be in the room, so you could actually make those updates either if it's easy enough right there, and we possibly meet here, have it on the screen, or if it's a more complicated update, then he could take it back and do that. But I can get some numbers from Scott, but initially he did say that we have, that, why we have 10 on staff is to help we do things like that. And he was
We should also be looking at the search function.
Yeah.
So that it brings up what we
relevant,
search for.
yeah.
Well, just
Yeah.
put in a word and expect that subject.
Yeah, it's me a pretty in-depth, and I don't know how it's going to be. It's not a deadline. It's for the start meeting weekly and to everything county and participate. And
I think that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, if you're very favorably disposed to the idea, I would love to see some numbers from what gets people away from and what our traffic count is. I think it's got some numbers on how many people are actually using the site. And
that's what I'm
I'd love to see that. Those stats.
Except for that they might not be using it because it's not ready.
That's
Sure.
Well,
I mean-
then you can see how many aborts there are.
That's true. You can see that.
Okay. I was contemplating economic development, community development, not from a staff perspective, don't misunderstand anything I'm gonna say. I think you guys are great. I think that one of the things that I hear as a mayor frequently is, what are we doing to bring a steak sit-down restaurant into our city? Or where is the ice cream parlor? Or what are we doing to do whatever, X, Y, Z? And I kind of stepped back because a couple of weeks ago, I was invited to one of those commercial realtor things where we were all interviewed as mayors as a panel. And it started to become a little clearer to me that we're Pleasant Grove. We're unique in our own way. We have certain resources that are unique to Pleasant Grove, and there are certain things that we just don't have. And I'm not talking about the businesses themselves, I'm talking about the things that attract people to take the risk to make the investment for those businesses. And so I'm wondering if we should be focused on the reality of who we are and celebrating what we do have that's good, as opposed to trying to aspire to something that the market will not support. It will not come to bring us a whatever, Macy's department store or those kinds of things, unless those people look at what we have to offer and say, yeah, it matches our formulas for where we need to be. So I just wanted to throw that out because it caused me to step back and really look at, we're a city of 35,000 people. We enjoy relatively clean air, clean water. We have direct access to the mountains. We have one access to the freeway. It's a nice city. This is great. It's great the way it is. And as those opportunities come, we evaluate and improve them. But I just thought maybe we could all unite around this concept of who we are already, as opposed to trying to become something that has already been done around us.
So interesting, the same class that I went to, St. George took us through 30 years of the history of how they are in. 30 years ago, they had 2,000 residents. And the very first step was is that they sat down and they figured out what was their assets. What were their assets? And of course, they actually marketed themselves very well with those assets that they came up with. There was just a list of doctors. But we have some remarkable natural assets that I think actually we probably haven't celebrated sufficiently.
So I just want to throw that out there as we're contemplating rezoning, what that zoning is going to look like, how how much retail sales is actually practical, how much can you really track versus we have the largest celebration and the longest running celebration in the state of Utah. Maybe we should be building on that. Maybe we should be looking internal to the things that we already do and do really well and build on those opportunities and go from there rather than reaching a little too far and trying to duplicate the Meadows or something else, because it's pretty darn close. And I get told weekly I can't show that film because it's still playing just down the street. So I think there's a reality here in the business community about what can and will be done. And if anybody does want a sit-down steak restaurant, I invite you to go to see Ken and fill out an application and build it. I will show you where you can build it right next to the theater. You'll be very successful.
But I don't think it also hurts to be in a sit-down restaurant in St. George and hand them a business card and say, by the way, your food was great. Would you think about putting in another one?
Yep.
Pleasant Grove.
We did that with Pirates Island, and there are a number that we've done it with. Pirates Island and Orem, and there's just the list goes on and on and on. And close. Yep. So, just a thought. All right. Do we have any plats?
Mayor, I just want to email that Scott sent because I'd like to, if the council's okay, move forward with that committee advertising that. So then to your question, we pay $25 an hour on top of $2,000 per month. Scott said we usually do not reach $10,000 threshold. So the job duties include the main job is to maintain the website. We had a major upgrade last year, which Trent took care of. He also updates information. We send it to him and makes any changes when we ask. He also does some graphic design for workforce when needed. So $25 an hour on 2 hours a week. Start out with
I think those are reasonable numbers. I guess the other half of the equation in my mind is, does the traffic justify it? I guess it's half the data that I'm looking for, but it's not a tremendous amount of money. I'm not concerned. We could certainly, especially on our
We still need this is a question, we still need a formal approval of the committee. Is that right?
yes.
All right. We have the calendar. Yeah, I'm gonna be gone next week. So Sid will be running the show.
She loves doing that, by the way.
And you know what? Sid does a great job. It's a great change, I tell you.
Is the Thai house,
She
is the
sent
Thai
me a
house
photo the
coming?
last time. She said,
The
"Look,
gavel will be.
it looks a whole lot better." And she was right, it did.
Is it, just really quickly, is the Thai house actually coming? What's the
They've
status?
had some design and engineering issues. So the last I spoke with him, which is a couple of weeks ago. Yes,
Last week was about 10 days away.
Yeah, I see it. We're on the calendar for a sec. I'm trying to remember the hazardous waste collection. Isn't that this Saturday? Next Saturday? It was last Saturday. Okay.
Well, that was the Utah County. That was the Utah County. Ours, not the
Yeah, we don't
hazardous
have
waste, but for
hazardous
the cleanup, yeah.
Okay, anybody else have calendar items? All right, so
Hazmat suit on.
we need a motion to go into executive session.
Chair, I move that we enter executive session to discuss the sale, purchase, or lease of real property pursuant to DCA 52.4 real 5E.